Toronto sports. This is OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog on TSN 1050.
All right, here we go. OverDrive off and running. TSN 1050 on the TSN app, your home smart speaker, and up on TSN2. Brian Hayes, Dave Feschuk of the Toronto Star. What's happening, Dave?
Loving this perfect weather, man.
Yeah, I said it yesterday. Like, do not even look at the weather app anymore. It's like we're in Arizona or something. It just every single day is the exact same, 30 degrees and sunny.
I love it.
It never changes.
I'll take it.
I will take it too, and I hope it consistently runs for as long as it possibly can.
Yeah.
Like, I would love just one out-of-nowhere shocking winter that's like 15 degrees. And if that were to ever happen, like I've wondered about that, like with golf courses and stuff like that, outside kind of summer-like activity. Would they adjust, or would they? You just have to assume at some point it's going to turn.
It's a good
You know
question.
what I'm saying? Like, because usually golf courses are like, November 1st, we're closed.
Yeah.
But what if it's like 25 degrees on November 1st?
Good question.
Could you not have a kind of moving close date, or is it just you assume at some point it's going to turn into a truly Canadian winter? But what if it doesn't? What if we have a great November?
We've had some of those.
We've had
years.
some good Novembers. Like why can't we have some flexibility here?
Hey, man, you can go to Niagara. There's like, they're not fancy courses, but there's courses that stay open all year because the soil's really sandy. They dry out really fast. And we've played Christmas Day outdoors down in Niagara.
I like that.
And
Well,
it's like,
down in the Sun Belt in Windsor, like always claims that Windsor is the
Miami
Sun Belt,
of
the Miami of Canada.
Yeah, that's what they used to call St. Catharines too. Like back in the day, the old junior hockey announcer Rex Steimers, and the kids are like, "Welcome to the Miami of Canada." It was like, not really. Like, it's really not that far.
I don't know if
south.
you have the same nightlife and stuff as Miami, but I hear you. If we're going based on weather and patterns,
I mean,
I'll grant you that.
That escarpment, there's the escarpment does have kind of an effect. Like it's a microclimate where it's, if you go to that, like the St. David's in Queenston, they're right on the escarpment. They get really good weather.
Yeah.
And so if it's sunny, there could be a little bit of snow on the ground, but you can play golf really. Like it'll be by like, I remember Christmas Day a couple of years ago. It was like by 10 a.m. the place was packed, and it was like you could play in short sleeves.
That's amazing.
Sunny day, like probably like 10, 15 Celsius.
That's great.
Beautiful stuff.
Yeah, let's have some roving closing dates here.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm with you.
Let's
like
not be
private
so
courses
committal.
won't do it. The fancy courses won't.
No, they're not doing that because they don't want to keep paying people, and also it's like, well, we got to worry about next year, which I understand. You got to get out in front of it and make sure that everything's settled so that you do winter properly. But give us like a November 15th.
Yeah, I'm with
Hook us up for like a couple extra weeks.
We need it because we had such a bad start.
It was an
summer,
awful
right?
April. Yeah,
Terrible.
it was an
May
awful
too.
April.
May was not great.
May was not great.
Really rainy and cold, and so it felt like it wasn't ever going to come. And now that it's here, you're right. We need that. We need that extended summer.
Big time. Yeah, and I guess the Blue Jays will represent that, right? Like if they keep winning and keep playing, and you're playing meaningful games into October, that is going to have a very different feel in terms of, the boys of summer are still kind of kicking around.
Yeah.
And downtown, and that's always interesting, like how you kind of tailgate for baseball in July compared to October. Very different.
I think it's going to be really fun.
I think it's going to be great. Because the Leafs will be back. The Raptors, their schedule came out today. They're going to be playing. Like we have potential for an overlap of all three teams.
Oh, yeah.
And when was the last time we had that?
You're right.
It's been a long time.
The Leafs start October 8th. I think the NBA starts October 21st.
Yeah. So you got to be probably World Series for
Pretty
that.
much World Series.
Yeah, you're closing in on the World Series. But, if the Jays, as of right now, you look at the American League, everyone's putting together lists. Like, who do you think is definitively better? Seattle's red hot right now. Are they definitely better than the Blue Jays? No. I'm not convinced of that. Is Houston? Is Detroit?
I mean,
I don't know.
It's so wide open.
Yeah, it's completely wide open.
This year, it's like the Yankees are a bit of a mess. The Red Sox don't scare you. Detroit is, they've been leading the Central, but it's the Central. Like, and they've been benefiting from that weak schedule, right? It just doesn't. They don't impress you in any real way,
right?
I mean, they're obviously Scooble is Scooble, and that's going to be a tough game, no matter. Who you
doesn't matter who they're playing.
Doesn't matter.
They're playing the Dodgers. It doesn't matter who they're playing.
He's the best
or
pitcher in
Milwaukee
baseball.
right now. It doesn't matter.
When you got the best pitcher in baseball, you got a chance to get off to a 1-0 start in a series every time you play. But he's not, he's not perfect. You know, he's had some stutters during the year, so who knows?
Well, the Jays just beat him in a game he started.
Yeah.
Right? So you have that in your back pocket if you're the Blue Jays. But, yeah, I do think, that'll be an interesting conversation. Like, which comes to an end first, the Blue Jays season or the great weather?
Yeah.
Right? Or patio season? Or you possibly getting out of town and going up north? Whatever it is. The golf clubs, do they go away before the Jays start playing? All these questions, I guess, will be determined as we move forward. But it is a good sign that the Jays continue to roll. And, of course, they're playing this afternoon, so we'll continue to track that. But, you start looking at kind of what is slowly starting to trickle out. You mentioned the NBA schedule, and I guess the Raptors schedule came out today. And I was thinking about it on the way in. You know, I generally, unless outside of the championship years or where they were kicking around, as one of the top teams in the East, and especially when LeBron was still in Cleveland or LeBron was in Miami, you'd always circle that. Like, when is this team coming in? When is that player coming in? I don't know who that represents anymore for a Raptor fan. Like, we were chatting about it, Ryan and I, earlier today, like the big reveal of the schedule. Who are we waiting for? Like, I guess Shea and Oklahoma City, they come here once a year. But who else represents that? Is there a team that the Raptors are going to play that you just can't wait to see the match up against? I mean, I don't have anybody.
It's a good point. I guess you'd say maybe one of the most intriguing teams is Luka and the Lakers.
Right, and that's more their storyline.
Yeah.
Not in connection with the Raptors.
Yeah.
And I think it speaks to any team that is kind of going through what they're going through, unless you are a legacy team. Like the Leafs are different. Even when they're awful, you look forward to Montreal coming through town on a Saturday night, because there's history there. If it's Ottawa or whatever, there's some more history there geographically. But like with the Raptors, again, in 19, it was coming off that championship. You wanted to see them play against Philly again.
Yes.
Right? It's like, let's see what they got against Philly.
And Giannis.
And Milwaukee. Okay, we know what just happened there. Like, when does Giannis roll back into town? I don't know, if there's a team that represents that right now.
Well, there isn't, because we don't know what this Raptors team is, right? Like, and you just saw they finally cut the last tie to the championship team with Chris Boucher moving on and going to Boston. So the fact that you haven't seen Brandon Ingram play a game for the Raptors and they paid him $40 million a year, and his agent has said couldn't have got that money anywhere else. Oops.
What a line.
A little bit of a kick to the you-know-whats of Masai on the way out.
Right.
Rich Paul, the great Rich Paul, super agent to many stars, delivered a not-so-subtle shot at the Raptors management by revealing that, at least that opinion. You just don't know what this team is. You're going to have a new president, so you don't know what that president's going to bring.
Is there a timeline on that?
I mean, I've heard
camps open up in a month or so. I mean, 5-6 weeks. You'd think if it's a high priority, you're going to do that before the season begins.
I think you should expect it before the season.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if no one's put a hard timeline on it. They never like to,
right,
in these circumstances, but it seems like, there's definitely been a lot of chatter about it in the background.
Yeah.
And what does it mean, and who's it going to be? I don't think anybody's quite sure yet. But Dwayne Casey's been in the running in terms of familiar names.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a Dwayne Casey super fan. I mean, that's been well established. I thought he did a great job here. It turns out they made the right decision. I mean, there's no disputing that. They went to Nick Nurse. They won a championship. What Dwayne would I think he would handle the job very well. Like, in terms of, he's a classy guy, and I think he would he would look the part, but without the experience. But I don't know what the experience means in a job like that when you consider his predecessor, Masai, didn't necessarily have it at that title.
No.
Right? When he came over from Denver, it was still like, you're in management. You don't wear the suit, so to speak. Brendan Shanahan was not a president.
No.
As a player, and yes, he worked for the league and all that, but all of a sudden he's, shaking hands with, billionaires downtown and trying to figure out how you're going to bring in more money.
That's a good point, Brian.
Thank you. Thank you, Dwayne. I don't, sports is always different when it comes to like having to have a certain resume for those type of jobs. But I don't know what his connection would be with Rodgers, with Keith Pelly. Keith was down in Vegas at the Summer League, and I'm sure he was talking to different people and trying to get a read on what is in the best interest of Maple Leaf sports and entertainment. And ultimately, it does come down to who you know and how you can sell yourself and who you're supposed to sell yourself to.
Well, yeah, to that point, I think one thing Dwayne Casey's really good at is getting in a room and communicating his vision, right? Like we've seen it. You know, he comes on this show. He stands in front of the media. He's a great communicator.
Yep.
He's an inspiring communicator. I've always found. You know, like he can rev you up.
He can.
He can get you. He can get you. You know, really believing in his ideas and his vision for what a team could be. And he did that here. Like he was a great builder of the early Raptors team of Lowry DeRozan, right? Like he took him pretty far.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know? And Masai eventually realized, or at least decided that, you know, he needed a different coach to take him to the next step. Now, could Dwayne Casey have coached a team with Kawhi Leonard to a championship? I mean, that
gets lost in the shuffle a lot. Yeah. They fired him before they acquired Kawhi.
Exactly. So I'm not possible. Sure. I think Dwayne might have done okay. A lot of coaches might have done okay with Kawhi Leonard on their team. But I'll tell you what, like, you know, when you think about what this team needs, I do think it needs a communicator. Like, Bobby Webster is a brilliant guy, but I don't know if he commands a microphone and kind of delivers a vision in any real way that I've seen yet. Maybe he could grow into that, but I don't think he's never wowed anybody speaking to the media, or
right.
I would think by sort of just inference. We haven't seen him in a boardroom, but if you can't command the mic with the media, I'm not sure how good you're going to be in a boardroom selling, to your point, billionaires on your vision.
Well, that's a big part. That's the bigger part of that title, is selling up.
Yes.
Right? You got to make sure the guys above you are happy with the job you're doing and feel like they're included, but they don't have their fingerprints. Like, it's managing ownership is a big part of that role.
Yeah.
Right. Now, owners are going to say, you're there to do the job for me. But the best ones, I think, are the ones that make sure they know, the GMs know I got your back. The owner knows I got your back. Right. And the guy's somewhere in the middle, kind of as a puppeteer on both sides, so to speak. And I agree with you. And I think with the Raptors, it is more important for them to have that kind of style of leader, so to speak. I think they need somewhat of a showman who can kind of speak for them, right? And get out in front of how much oxygen the Maple Leafs are going to take up, how much oxygen the Blue Jays are going to take up. Like, the Jays are an example of it right now. Whenever they win, they're the biggest thing in town. Yep. Like, there's 45,000 people down there at every single game. You can't find tickets to the Jays right now. Yep. Everyone's buzzing about the Blue Jays. They got here first about 20 years before you started. They play in a different schedule. They're here in the summer. They have exclusivity over the summer. No one's really competing with them. You know, TFC, the Argos to an extent, but not at that level.
No.
Not at the same level of what the Blue Jays represent. The Raptors, you know, you've always kind of been the youngest child of the empire, and you've always, I think, felt like you need someone that's out there speaking on your behalf, and that's what Masai did so well.
Yes.
I think Brian Colangelo represented that, right? Classy guy, had won Executive of the Year, came in, he could speak, felt like he had an aura to him. He had a dad who was in the game for a long time, so there was like a legacy play to him. You know, the first guy to run the whole operation was Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's always been, I think, the play with the Raptors is like, you need someone who can be out there and put them on the map and speak them into existence within this market, and maybe at times, even more importantly, outside of the market. And I think that matters here. That's why I think it is imperative they find a president. They find someone that can play that role, where with the Leafs, it's just not like Brendan Shanahan it didn't matter if, you know, people in New York were paying attention. They were, of course they're going to.
Yeah.
The league revolves around the Leafs in many ways.
And Shanahan proved that the Leafs are the brand, not because he essentially disappeared into the woodwork more often than not.
Exactly.
And kind of lost his nerve for whatever reason in terms of getting in front of a microphone. Maybe had a couple bad experiences early on in his tenure. You'd have to ask him. I mean, he's never really had much of. He hasn't had anything to say. That's
the whole thing. Like, what would his interpretation possibly be of a quote unquote bad press? Or like, I don't recall any quote of substance from him.
I think the main one that maybe was a turning point for the way he viewed dealing with the media was when he made the argument that when he was in Detroit, I don't even have the quote in front of me, but he essentially made a statement that many people, including myself, took to mean when we were in Detroit, we sacrificed for the betterment of the team, and he was.
Speaking of the young guys and the
in terms
contracts.
of the core 4 contracts that were impending,
right?
And he tried to make that case. Problem with that, problem with that case was he was playing before the salary cap when he was in Detroit. not quite the same thing, even though there may have been some truth to, Mike Ilitch getting in that room saying, guys, you can only have this much money. You got to split it up, But, and B, when Brendan Shanahan was a restricted free agent, like, many of these young Leafs were, he left the team that drafted him and his good pal Lou Lamoriello, who he considers something of a father figure in hockey, he left them to take maximum money in St. Louis, become one of the highest paid players in the league. So he's essentially a mercenary in a restricted free agent year, which was exactly what the players who played for the Leafs at that time, the Nylanders and Marners and Matthews of the world, became as well.
Right.
So it was kind of a disingenuous argument. He claims it was misinterpreted. I wrote it at the time that it was just like there was really no relation to his career and what these guys were doing, other than the fact that, guess what? They were going to do what Brendan Shanahan did and get every last dollar they felt they were due.
Right.
And they did.
And they ended up doing that.
So
I remember that one. That was like an impromptu presser out west or something, too. And because he would do that occasionally, Shanahan. He'd just kind of pop up out of nowhere and be like, all right, I'll talk with you guys. And
then that stopped.
And then, ultimately it completely stopped. And that's really been the nature of the way the Maple Leafs have kind of handled their media, quote unquote. Like Kyle Dubas was doing a podcast with the Cam and Strick podcast. Andy Strickland and Cam Jansen
down in St. Louis.
Yeah, and he was talking a lot about the Leafs, but like Dubas has not spoken. He has no reason to come on media in Toronto. Like obviously we've requested him a bunch, but even his last couple of years, he never did media. Like he would stand in front of the media. He wouldn't do interviews. He wouldn't come on our show. He wouldn't do like impromptu pressers or impromptu conversations or interviews, or very, very rarely. And I think ultimately that was because Shanahan, that's what he believed in. And he was like, this is the way it's going to operate. This is the way it's going to work. And that's another thing. Like when Keith Pelly took over, he was like, we got to change the way we deal with everyone and the way that we interact and the way that... And
in the media. The way we do it in the media.
And so far, it's not been a long time, but I haven't really seen a tangible change. Now, to be fair to them, it's the offseason, so I'm not sure what exactly they're going to do. But we'll see if that happens.
Yeah, we will.
Like, we'll see if the Brendan Shanahan era really carries on in terms of the way they handle their superstar players, the way that they express themselves, the way that they decide to get stories out. Because my interpretation has always been the Leafs have kind of been of the belief, like, just don't say anything, don't create anything. It's going to get crazy. You got to protect. And I understand that to some extent. And I understood it when these guys were younger. But the idea that you would need to protect Austin Matthews, who's lived here and played here for 9 years.
Mm-hmm.
I can't reason with that anymore. I mean, now maybe Matthews doesn't, and Matthews on his own, like, look at his injuries. He's like, I'm not talking. He's the only guy in the league, to my knowledge, that wouldn't reveal what he was dealing with. The playoffs. Everyone else comes out and talks.
Bad fan relations move. Bad fan relations move.
Yeah, it's like maybe, I don't know. I'm curious how that's going to change, if it's going to change, if it's possible to, if it even makes sense. Maybe I don't see this market the way that other people see it. Like maybe they look at it appropriately and they're like, just don't give them anything, don't say anything, go out and play, smile, cliche here, cliche there. But I don't know. I think this team, it's long overdue for like a big personality.
Yeah.
Like a big, fun, brash personality.
I'm with you. Like,
let it fly and see what happens.
To me, what you're talking about with the way Dubas conducted himself, the way Shanahan conducted himself at the end, or near the end, and basically for the bulk of his.
Well, you mentioned Lou Lamoriello. That's where he learned everything.
That's what I'm saying. A lot of it stemmed from Lou.
Yeah.
Right? Lou being very much in charge for a lot of that time and setting the tone and having Lou's rules and the arcane rules that, all the players would, roll their eyes at, about having to shave and no long hair, which also extended to basically, if you say anything that we don't like, you're going to be in trouble, right? Mm-hmm. Don't express yourself was essentially the rule.
Yeah.
And those who do express themselves do it at their own peril, right? But you're right. Like, it's not like that's the only way to run the Leafs. Like when Lewicki was here, he was making headlines on a regular basis when he arrived, right? And sometimes,
he was a showman.
Sometimes got hurt by it. You know, the dumb stuff about taking the pictures off the wall, ticking off Johnny Bauer and all the old Leafs.
Yeah.
Not wanting black and white pictures of the glory days on the walls. I mean, he did this.
And he backpedaled on that.
Backpedaled on that. And then before that, like, let's not forget, like, Brian Burke was not afraid to get in front of a microphone.
No.
I mean, in the Burke era, Burke would talk. I mean, Dave Nonis after him, you could call up Dave Nonis. He'd return your call and do an interview if you had something to ask him, if you're a reporter. It's been less like that since Lou got here, and Shanahan, kind of learning from Lou, decided, no, we're not going to do that. We're gonna basically say this is like a secret society, and only we really know.
Right, exactly. And it also, with that, is felt more and more corporate and more distant, where like Burke, the problem Burke had was his teams weren't any good.
Yes.
Like that, like Burke was a brilliant orator. Like he was fun. He'd get you, and he'd catch you. Like I've interviewed him a lot. If he didn't like a question, he'd basically tell you, or if you tried to catch him in some way or whatever, he'd go at you, and it was a show. It was like, all right, Burke's coming on. Like, let's see what he's got. And he'll tell you, and if he's pissed off or he's not happy about something, he's going to let you know. And it felt more like a conventional, kind of old school. It was a hockey club.
Yeah.
Instead of a franchise.
Right.
Or a well-run organization.
Yeah.
It was a hockey club, and this is how we're going to do it. And I'm going to tell you what I'm going to try to do, and I'm going to make mistakes, and you're going to hammer me, and so be it. And then I'm going to get things right, and I'm going to gloat, and you better let me. And it was like, all right, let's go. Like, let's see what comes of it. Thing is, if you're going to be a showman, you're going to say all that kind of stuff, you got to win.
You got to back it up.
You got to, and that's my fear would be, as I look to the future of the Maple Leafs and the way that maybe they are going to run the operation, is with Shanahan implementing all that stuff, it did come with more success than they've had in like 20 years.
Yeah.
And they go to the playoffs every single year. And, that may lead to whoever's running the operation to think, this is probably in our best interest. Just keep your nose clean. Just go about your business. Do your thing, say your thing, and go out there and play.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of funny, though. It's also the players, right? Like, the players set that tone a lot about how much they want to be exposed to the media. Like, when, like Austin Matthews, whatever you want to say about him, he's not really a natural with the media. Right. Like,
he's never been overly comfortable.
He's not the kind of guy who likes to sit at his locker and just, shoot the breeze with reporters. And that's fine. Like that.
Yeah, you have your personality.
You can't change it. You can't change who you are. But I mean, like when, the first time they had that little bit of playoff success when they beat Tampa, they had Ryan O'Reilly in the room, who was the kind of guy who would sit at his locker.
Always talk.
Take questions.
Luke Shen would sit there and say, "Come."
The same way.
What do you got?
Yeah, Luke Shen loved talking and loved talking about the team and loved, and I think there was some kind of tension release because of that. Shen was talking about how, hey, this team never went out to dinner on the road. We're going out to dinner on the road, and we're having, like, hockey's fun, guys. Yeah. Like, it's fun to be a member of an NHL team, and we're going to make it fun. And part of that was, it's fun to talk about hockey with the media, because guess what? The media loves hockey. Generally, most of the people that write about hockey really love hockey and love talking about it and writing about it. So we can all if you all just kind of treat each other like you're human beings that love hockey and want to talk about it, guess what? There's less tension in the room. There's less, there's more fun in the room. Mm-hmm. I think O'Reilly and Shen proved that, and they actually had some success. It didn't last long, and they didn't last long here. But, like John Tavares, I mean, he'll chat, but he's not exactly, a great orator, kind of a robo-captain during his time as captain, right? Saying the cliche stuff and the right stuff, but kind of, by sort of committed to memory and always the same thing or very close to. I mean, Marner was kind of, he was.
Marner was the most uncomfortable.
He was very uncomfortable.
And Willie just doesn't really care to do it, I think. Like, Willie's fine. He'll talk. He'll give you quick answers, and he gets out of there.
Yeah. No, Willie's always available.
He's always, and he's happy to do it.
Go up to him, and you can always go up to him. And you can ask him questions, but you better have a lot of them, because he's going to give you some pretty short answers.
He's well trained in that. Like he's an NHLer's kid, and it's going to be, we played well tonight. Yeah, we're plugging along. That's what's going to come of it. But you look at modern sports, and I don't know if the NHL community is ready for this. I do think there'd be a massive market for it. I think fans are ready for it. But, like, we've been talking about it with maybe the biggest story in the NFL right now, Micah Parsons. This guy's doing podcasts and streams, and Draymond Green and Kevin Durant. Like, would there ever be a Leaf that would do that? And would the team allow it? They would. If it was, let's say it was Matthews. The team's not stopping him from doing it. Now, that's not in his nature, clearly. He's a private guy, and he wants to do his own thing. But, like, let's say Easton Cowan turns into a player, big personality, and he's like, I'm going to start streaming. I'm going to start a podcast.
Yeah.
Like, someone's going to do that. It sounds like the Kachuk brothers were looking at doing it. I think Barstool Sports had said that they turned that down, and they've got some offers. And those two, if they start, and you know what they're looking at, the Kelsey brothers, and saying that could be us.
100 million.
Like the Kachuk brothers, they kind of know where this is going and who they are right now. And Matthew's on the face of EA Sports, and his brother, and I think Keith is a part of that too. And you see what they did at the Four Nations, and now Matthew's won back-to-back cups, so he can really pop off and say whatever he wants whenever he wants to. There's an avenue for it.
Oh yeah.
And I'm just. It doesn't. I wouldn't even know who to look to with the Leafs, and they're not alone. I don't know who I would look to at probably a handful of teams, maybe 10, 12, 15 teams in the league. Not sure who that guy would necessarily be, but I do think this market. I think they would relish that opportunity to have a kind of larger than life guy.
Yeah, I think
that's willing to just say what's on his mind and deal with it. And I don't think Toronto would swallow that guy up.
I don't.
I think that's the reputation. Like, oh, you couldn't do that, and people would run you out of town. No, I don't believe that. I don't. Especially if you play well and you play hard and you're in a winning environment, and then you're honest when you lose too. That's another part of it. Like, got to talk after the Game 7 collapse. You got to be consistent if you're going to be out there.
That's the thing. That's like I think the one thing when you look at the most successful guys in that field in the other sports, like Draymond, very successful, not afraid to talk, obviously. Either to the media or in his own microphone on his own podcast after games, and the Kelsey brothers, they have one thing in common: they're champion players.
Yep.
They're kind of beyond reproach in the way they approach the game and the way they play the game, right? Like they're Hall of Famers, and so that gives you a platform. You come to Toronto, you haven't won anything, but
isn't that Micah Parsons?
Yeah.
The Cowboys are the Leafs.
Yeah.
Parsons is Matthews.
I know.
Like. But what has he won? What has he done? And he's
Good
like,
point.
and I'm going, man.
I'm just saying, like that might be the problem.
Yeah.
Like of guys in recent vintage who would probably do that in the right circumstances. Like Nazem Kadri comes to mind.
Yeah.
I would listen to Nazem.
I would listen to Nas
like
too.
having just read his book and wrote about his book last year. It's a really good book about his time in the NHL. Like he's not afraid.
No.
Not afraid to tell you.
And Nas is a champion, man.
Nas is a champion.
He's a champion, and. Yeah, and listen, the culture of hockey may not be conducive to it either, and like the kind of historical value that you place in the team, and you play for the name on the front instead of the back,
but it's changed a bit.
It's starting to change a little bit, and again, I wonder if the Kachuk brothers are the ones that are just going to break those walls down.
Yeah,
and they're just going to say, "This is what we're doing." Like if the Kelsey brothers can do it, we're doing it, and we're a legacy name in the sport, and this is the way it's going to go.
Yeah.
And I'm curious if others follow. All right, speaking of the Cowboys, we'll get into them as they continue their camp. What are the chances they can possibly be a playoff team this year? Davis Sanchez will join us in studio. We got the CFL on TSN kicking off tonight. A new week. We got the Argos at the Elks, a game I think they can win.
Yes.
I think they can beat that team. So we'll catch up with Davis, and we'll get his take on all that. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app.
Back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
All right, Overdrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line of the final score. Brian Hayes, Dave Feschuk. And look who we have here, Davis Sanchez, joining us in studio. What's happening, Davis?
Good to be here.
How you doing, man?
Doing excellent.
You're wearing every hat. You got CFL, NFL.
They say the more you could do, right?
That's right.
What it is.
That's right.
So that's it. And it gets me out of the house.
Absolutely. And Dave, you were talking about the Bills. Davis came in just immediately. You start hammering about the Bills and expectations and
Well,
what we think are going to happen this year for them.
I got a lot of Bills fans in my life, and of course, a lot of Bills fan heartbreak racked up over the years. And I was just saying to Davis, like, I don't know, like the more you see this team come close and miss, you start to wonder, like, will they ever get over the hump? And Hayes, you're saying it might be their year. How do you see it?
Yeah. The lack of here's the thing: the lack of off-season moves is a good thing. Like these are loaded. That's the thing. You look at what the Bills did in the offseason; they didn't do much.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think Joey Bosa's a good signing. I think Harrison's a good young corner. But we don't have to make a lot of moves. That's because you have a pretty good roster.
Yeah.
So I mean, the problem with the Buffalo Bills, and this is not groundbreaking, but it's the AFC is so damn difficult.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a great team, or an excellent team with a superstar quarterback, and just because of the Mahomes, the Burrows, the Jacksons, and the pieces around, it's just, I mean,
well, it's got a Raptors running into LeBron feel to it, right?
Yeah.
Because it is fairly acute. It's Mahomes and the Chiefs that they have an issue
but
with.
why is that? You said this is their year. What's the difference?
Well, here's why. I think the Chiefs they're bound to take a step back, personally. I think I'm not convinced this Travis Kelce, I'm back in my prime because I'm doing photo shoots and I tell you I'm back in my prime is going to be legitimate. We'll see what happens with Rice and what happens with him into the season. But I look at them. Their defense has been stout. They still have Spags. They still have what could be a top 5, top 7 defense. But they won so many one-score games last year.
Yeah.
I think they were 10-0 or 11-0 in one score. That's just it's not going to happen again.
Yep.
And that division, I think, is better. Denver was probably the biggest surprise in the league last year, or close to it. I think that continues. I think the Chargers, I worry about they just lost their tackle for a season. That's going to be troubling.
Huge.
That's really, really big. But I think the Chargers are going to be pretty good. I think Pete Carroll in Vegas probably better than they were in the past. So I'm not convinced the Chiefs every single year are just going to be able to keep doing this. It just doesn't work that way. It didn't work with, like, when Brady was in New England. It wasn't every single year they go to the Super Bowl.
No.
Like, he's been doing interviews recently. He's like, when I first got in the league, three Super Bowls in my first 4 years, I thought this is nothing. He didn't win again for over a decade.
Yeah.
It's never that easy. So I think Kansas City takes a bit of a step back. Buffalo's chomping at the bit. I think they run away with the East. I think they end up with the top seed in the AFC, and everyone's got to go through Buffalo. I think that's a good setup for them. I'm seeing the vision. I'm
getting a sense here. I'm getting a sense here that you're just catering to your fan base there, Hayes.
That's part of it.
I'm not buying this BS at all. I think
We're
you're catering to your
huge in
fan
Western
base.
New York, man. We're big.
Yeah.
It travels across
sure it does.
across the lake. But I like Buffalo. I mean, I'm not talking about some horrible team that's going to take off here.
Yeah, you're a Bills fan. You follow the Bills. I follow the Bills. We know what it is. I'll say this about the Chiefs real fast. What the Eagles did to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, that shouldn't be a surprise, and it should tell us something about the roster, because they absolutely dominated the Chiefs. And to your point, all the things that we saw the Chiefs doing, the wins that they had that they probably shouldn't have, it speaks to their greatness and to Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid in crucial times. But what the Eagles did to them also speaks to the difference in rosters right now between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, the Eagles, I think, still they deserve to be the prohibitive favorites to win the Super Bowl again. Yep. I think.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is it the Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs that were the big golfers, or is it the Eagles and everyone else?
It's the Eagles and the Ravens for me.
Yeah.
The Eagles and the Ravens are the two best teams in the NFL, in my opinion.
Okay.
Where are the weaknesses in those two teams?
Yeah.
And the scary part is, if we look back in the history of football, you see great rosters with pretty good quarterbacks. These are two really good quarterbacks with great rosters.
Yeah. Well, and that's like Lamar. You look at what he's done, Lamar Jackson, early in his career. He's already got 2 MVPs. he could have had a third one last year.
Yeah.
Like he was right there. It was him and Allen just going back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't turn the ball. He doesn't get hit that much anymore. Like that was the concern because he's not a big guy and he can run like early in his career. What if he just gets laid out? He doesn't allow himself to get hit.
Very true.
So,
yeah.
But he's got a reputation that Allen doesn't. Like Josh Allen has a reputation of he just can't beat Mahomes. And even in the games where he can't beat Mahomes, he's putting up stats and numbers. Right. Lamar's got a rep that he doesn't get it done in the playoffs.
Right.
Like that concerns me more than the Bills. Right? Like how do you marry the two where I hear what you're saying, like the Ravens are stacked, but how do you have faith that Jackson is going to get it done in the biggest games because he's got to go through the same quarterbacks, the Allens and the Mahomes and Burrows and other guys like that.
Do any of us buy the fact that Lamar Jackson's playoff struggles are somehow, Lamar Jackson is not clutch. Lamar Jackson shrinks in the biggest moments. I'm not buying it. Do you buy that?
I mean, he hasn't been transcendent in big games.
But it's to me, I asked the question because I think it's circumstantial. Okay. I don't think it's because Lamar Jackson doesn't have a clutch gene in him. I don't think it's because Lamar, chokes in big moments. I think it's circumstantial. So for that reason, Hayes, I don't worry about, the Ravens in the playoffs or Lamar in the playoffs.
Well, and it is in some ways the nature of the sport. You get like one game, and if you're not ready to play, you're out, right? It's like in a best of 7, you may have a struggle in game 1 and be great in game 2 and 3 and 4. In football, you don't have it. But it probably also speaks to just what Mahomes has established so early in his career, that the bar is so high for Lamar, for the evaluation of Lamar and Josh Allen and Joe Burrow, these other 3 quarterbacks who like have all-time great talents. Like when you look at the statistics and how fun they are to watch play. Mm-hmm. Like Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, in my opinion, are the 2 most entertaining players in the game.
Oh,
like
yeah.
you can't stop watching them play. They are a blast to watch, and they win, and their stats are incredible, and they're leaders, and
you look at Mahomes.
But then it's Mahomes.
Mahomes'
like,
highlight reel in big games might be the most entertaining thing to watch. Like this guy's
ever
unbelievable plays.
Yes.
In the biggest moments.
Right. Exactly.
Those other guys, I'm not sure they have.
Yeah. I mean, Allen's had some moments, but then they were ripped away from him in some circumstances by Mahomes.
Exactly.
He left 13 seconds on the clock.
By his own coaching staff,
or by his own coaching staff,
and by his defense, which again, I don't know if the Bills fans, and which I'm a believer in the Bills. That's the thing. I don't know if they answered all the questions. I mean, look at the secondary of the Buffalo Bills, and I say it's a great roster, but when you have Tre'Davious White penciled in as your starter, not to say he can't have a bounce back, but I question that.
Mm-hmm.
You have Maxwell Harrison, who has never played a snap in the NFL and is 5'11". I have some questions about that. Even Benford's a 6th rounder who's been excellent, but he's still a 6th round physical talent. Is still of a 6th rounder. So there's just more questions than the others. But Josh Allen, his greatness seems to answer a lot of the questions, or maybe camouflage some of the questions.
Well, that's the thing. Like, he's so good. He's so good. David Sanchez in studio. So the Eagles clearly the top team in the NFC. Is it Detroit's clear-cut number 2 for you? Or, like how wide open is the NFC beyond Philly, in your opinion?
I think Detroit is right there.
Yeah.
And again, I would look at Detroit, same thing. Defensively, Detroit has some questions, but yeah, Detroit's right there with Philly. And then I think there's a gap. Who are our 3rd and 4th teams?
Is it the Rams, the Packers? I think would be up there.
Packers probably.
Do you believe in the Commanders again?
They gotta have
the Bucks. Could they? That's a weak division, the NFC South.
There's got to be some serious concerns about Matthew Stafford.
Yeah.
The fact that a lower back, how the back is, and the fact he takes one hit. That's I'm concerned with that. But it would be the Rams and it would be the Pack.
Yeah.
But I'm concerned. I would not any futures bets, which I don't love anyway. But any futures, I would fade the Rams heavily because they don't even know the numbers right now.
That's the issue,
or they have an injury.
It applies to any team. If you're starting quarterback
for the Rams, I don't even know who the backup.
I couldn't tell you who it is. Yeah, it better be somebody good because he might get some snaps. But that division will be interesting. Like you look at the 49ers, and now Brock Purdy's been paid, and he's getting serious money now, so he's got to play up to that cap hit. Right? It's no longer $850,000 or $900,000. Yeah. It's now $52 million or $53 million, And they had 6 wins last year.
Yeah.
They finished dead last in the NFC West. A lot of injuries. They got Robert Saleh back, defensive coordinator. I think that's fairly significant. I don't know where you stand on bringing a coordinator like that back, but
big fan of Robert Saleh.
yeah, me too as a DC for sure. I'm curious about what they do this year. Like McCaffrey, you talked about Stafford. McCaffrey just feels like he's always one pivot away from blowing his Achilles or tearing a calf or something.
He'll be heading to Munich, Germany. He's done that flight to Munich a few times.
He and Austin love it over there.
Flight.
Yeah.
And it's Jimmy G, by the way. Jimmy Garoppolo.
Oh, okay. All right, back on the West Coast.
I didn't know that offhand.
I had no idea Garoppolo was the backup. That does not make me sleep well at night if I'm Sean McVay. He's competent. Like Garoppolo might give you, give you 5 starts, maybe he can get you 2 or 3 wins.
We could know one thing for sure. You go across the NFL, and take injuries to a quarterback out of the conversation, because as soon as you have an injured quarterback, the whole dynamic of your team changes. That's going to be for what 30 teams.
Yes.
So I mean,
No question. David Sanchez in studio, CFL on TSN tonight. The Argos are out west. They're in Edmonton tomorrow night. And we've been kind of waiting for them to, turn this corner a little bit. And we had Ryan Dinwiddie on a couple weeks ago, and he had mentioned that they've got to create chaos to get back into the dance. And at that point, they had just beaten Winnipeg. And he felt like, okay, that's somewhat chaotic, and we feel like we're maybe moving in the right direction. And since then, it hasn't necessarily gone their way. But tomorrow's one, it's basically a must-win, but I'm guessing the Elks are probably saying the same thing, right? Like both teams kind of, if you can't beat Edmonton if you're Toronto, if you can't beat the Argos if you're the Elks, who are you going to beat in this league?
Can we talk about Ryan Dinwiddie's comments post-game? Did you happen to see his rant post-game, and basically calling his group or some guys in the group pretenders? That's strong language. I mean, to come out and say we have some pretenders in this locker room after a loss, I don't know. I mean, he's earned that. He's been a pretty good coach, but I don't know. There's got to be some teetering on, are you losing the room? Is there, not to say he's lost the room, but there's got to be some guys in that room that don't take too kindly to being called a pretender. And then that I want to see how they respond tomorrow.
Yeah, that feels like a nuclear option for a coach.
Right. Yeah.
Right. To be like, I've tried everything else. I'm going to zap you with the integrity of a professional. So
I'll tell you now, as a vet, that's not fueling me.
No.
To tell me I'm a pretender, I'm looking at you and especially no disrespect to Ryan Dinwiddie, he's a quarterback. You're calling someone a pretender, and it's, I like Ryan. He's a good coach. You calling someone a pretender, that's not a missing reads or bad throws. You're saying that you're not coming to play. You're getting your butt whooped, and you're not good enough.
Yeah,
that's a quarterback saying that to a bunch of defensive linemen, offensive linemen. I don't know how that stands, but if I'm a vet, I'm not going out there tomorrow and want to throw it on the line. Instead, I might lean the other way and be pissed.
Well,
the young guys might buy it, but I don't think it's big.
But is that speaking to delusional opinions of themselves? Chad Kelly's been quoted in a podcast saying he's a top 32 NFL quarterback. I mean, he was the MOP of the CFL a couple of years ago, but he hasn't done anything since. I mean, is his sense of self maybe a little bit out of whack?
Hayes?
Yeah, I would say absolutely.
I mean,
everyone. Listen,
I'm not sure what universe he's living in if he believes he's a top 32 NFL quarterback, considering he doesn't really have a resume.
No,
he's saying his resume speaks for itself. I mean, is he talking about his college football resume from a decade ago? I think he's a confident guy. Yeah,
he's clearly a confident guy. He's an SEC quarterback, and I think he's probably looked at his career and thought he deserved opportunities or didn't take advantage of past opportunities. It's tough to say that, though, to your point, when you haven't played in a long time. And last year, he was riddled with controversy.
Yeah.
He was suspended for a long time. So you weren't – he didn't win the Grey Cup last year.
No.
He wasn't playing in that game.
Play.
Yeah, so –
I believe the playoff performance before that was not a good one. Is that – I believe –
Well, and he went in. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's – I don't know. I think I'm all for confidence. Yeah. I get it. And you got to sell yourself first because no one else is going to sell yourself. But, if you're a top 64 quarterback in the league, you're in camps right now in the States. That's just a fact. If you're top 32, you're in a uniform every single Sunday in the National Football League. They got tape down there. They know
he's not. He's not hurting anybody by saying that because it has no reflection on his current team or anybody else. That's a personal thing for Chad.
Right, you're boosting. You're pumping your own tires.
Good for him, and
that's a fair point.
He is a gamer. So and Chad's a gamer. There's no question. But,
yep.
I mean, so whether he is or he isn't, that's for. We don't have to decide that. If he believes it, he believes it.
Yeah.
But if he's going to play this year, I mean, and they're 2-7, is there do you see a path to a rebound here?
I don't think so. No, I mean that's 2-7. You're in.
And defensively, they're terrible.
Yeah.
Like Chad Kelly can't. He's not playing on the other side of the ball.
I mean, even offensively, Nick Arbuckle, who's playing now, has been pretty good, but he's been sacked, I think, more than anybody else. He's thrown. I think he's up to the top of interceptions. So they're winning not in traditional ways. So I wouldn't. I think they're in trouble.
Yeah, and tomorrow night, I think that may be the nail in the coffin. You come home from Edmonton, you're 2-8.
You want the Gold Star lock, Hayes?
Yeah,
today?
what do you got? What do you got tonight?
I got the Ottawa Red Blacks tonight.
Red Blacks on the money line.
I think it's what do we got? I think we got plus 3.5. I believe I see. I like that right now.
You're taking the points right now.
Points. The Red Blacks are pretty good.
Okay.
They can. There are some holes in that Winnipeg team, and the Red Blacks are better than expected. So
I like it.
There's a free one.
Free one.
Okay.
We're on the points tonight.
First one's free.
Yeah. David Sanchez hooking us up. We're taking the points tonight. Go Red Blacks. All right, Dave, it's great seeing you, man.
Appreciate you.
Thanks for doing this. There's David Sanchez, our football analyst, CFL, NFL. He does it all here. OverDrive continues, TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.
Back to OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
Last night we let the liquor talk. I can't remember everything we said.
All right, thanks again to David Sanchez for joining us. Into the next hour, I've got a Hazy Bees list. The 5 Super Bowl or bust teams. The definitive list. The 5 Super Bowl or bust teams in the NFL this season. So we'll get to that. And I've also been putting together a couple of different things based on, I guess, the great Serge Savard was talking about Lane Hudson, pumping Lane Hudson's tires in Montreal. Easy to do considering the rookie campaign he had. And saying that he might be the most talented player the Habs have had since Guy Lafleur.
Yeah.
Which is quite the statement considering they won a Stanley Cup in 1986 and 1993. Patrick Waugh was on the team. Carey Price
was the best goalie in the world for a while.
PK Subban won a Norris Trophy.
Yeah.
Alex Kovalov was a stud for them for a while.
Pretty damn talented.
Yeah. But Serge Savard, he knows a thing or two about winning, about being a great Montreal Canadian, about talent evaluation. So pretty interesting comments there from Serge. So we'll get into that more into the next hour as well. So we got a couple of lists. We got a couple of different things going on into the next hour. We're tracking the Jays, of course, as well. Dave Feschuk in here. I'm Brian Hayes. Hour 2 up next. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app.
This is OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog on TSN 1050.
Hour 2 OverDrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Brian Hayes, Dave Feschuk, the Toronto Star in here. Get into more NFL a little bit later this afternoon. We're tracking the FedEx playoffs as well. It's pretty cool to see McElroy and Scheffler play together.
Yeah.
Like, just every time you can, I wouldn't say pit those two together because they're not enemies, but
I don't think they're friends.
I'm not sure they're that close yet. They're both Nike guys and both TaylorMade guys.
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting that, like, the two best players in the world are using the same clubs and in the same commercials all the time. And, you know, Nike's got both of them. And
Good
they're the
point.
two, you know, with Tiger not even affiliated with Nike anymore.
Yeah.
It's the two of them. Those are them and I'd say Nelly Korda, the face of Nike golf.
Yeah, they're the flagship Nike guys for sure.
You know?
But, you know, the Ryder Cup stuff, you know, there's some tension there.
I think that'd be great.
I think it's great.
That'd be great. And I think McElroy would embrace it. Like, he'd be happy to do it. And Scheffler's chasing him. He's got his career slam.
Yep.
You know, he's done it all. He's won his Ryder Cups. Scheffler hasn't. Scheffler's off to a great start. Number one player in the world, has held that title for a long time. 3 majors, tons of tournaments, tons of money. Best player in the world, tons of compliments in terms of how he controls his golf ball and everything. But that might be the best way to get that personality out of Scheffler, is just pit him against McElroy.
For sure.
That'd be outstanding. Forget Liv. Pit a couple of PGA Tour guys against each other.
It would be nice if it just kind of naturally developed that way, you know, if it really did. I mean, I think the problem's been that, you know, Scheffler's just been so dominant.
Yes.
Right? Like Rory won his Masters and got his career slam, which really will be the biggest story of the golf year, I think, no matter what happens beyond, you know, maybe the Ryder Cup could kind of overtake it, but that's a pretty big
I doubt it, because that's a team sport.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, you become one of 6 people to get the career slam. It's
at
massive,
Augusta,
it's a massive
the
story.
way it happened.
The way it
He
happened.
almost choked it away. It was incredible.
It was pure drama, and it was absolutely an incredible moment. But since then, of course, it's well documented that he hasn't been particularly a particular threat to win anything since. And Scotty's gone about his business, just doing what he does and reasserting the fact that, yeah, you know, I don't win the Masters every year, but I'm going to win most everything pretty often.
And I think he'll win at least another green jacket. Like, at least
would
one
think.
more. He kind of feels like one of those guys that could end up with 4 or 5.
I would think.
Like, it's Nicholas and him, and
Yeah.
like those. That's kind of the aura of Scheffler around that place. He just stalks the grounds of Augusta. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, it's amazing, and how important it is to know the course and to have control of your ball. And he's got all of that when it comes to the way he's playing and the way that course suits him.
And now that he's putting well, I mean, he's just really unbeatable. It's just scary.
Yeah,
It really.
like, he's 2 under today. He's on 16.
I think they just had a weather delay. I think they're getting back to it now.
Okay, and McElroy's even par through 15, but
Yeah,
like,
they could-
Scheffler's right there.
They cleared the course for a couple hours, but I think they're getting
Okay.
back out there.
All right.
But, yeah, I mean, nice to see Rory playing at least, right? Like,
Yeah, nice of him to show up to the FedEx.
you know, I've missed the first round of the playoffs. What's the big
It's
deal?
all good, man. I'll see you at East Lake. He knows he's going.
I mean, it's
Like, what happens this weekend is completely irrelevant for the top guys.
I mean, you've got a new CEO of the PGA Tour, and I think number one on your list of to do, and I'm sure it's a long list, right? You still got this divide, and you still get the Live Tour out there, and you don't know when they're going to strike next poaching players. I mean, they always threaten to, and you always hear murmurs about there'll be another round eventually, or maybe the cash tap has dried up, you know, from the oil-rich Saudis.
Or it's going to be directed somewhere else.
Or it'll be directed somewhere else. But I think pretty near the top of your list has to be to figure out a playoff format that makes more sense. Right?
Mhm.
Like, because this last week was one of the big embarrassments of the history of
That
the
was
FedEx Cup
horrendous.
playoffs.
That McElroy just said, I'm not coming,
Yeah, playoffs.
even though I'm number 2 in
Playoffs.
the rankings or whatever. Yeah, exactly. Like, he basically Jim Moored it in reverse, that I'm not going to the playoffs. I could be in it. I've qualified for it, but I have no interest in showing up.
I mean,
I just don't know how you get around that, because you can't compete with the majors.
no.
Like, it's always been major driven in golf. That is always going to be the case. And then beyond that, it's generally more about like the golf courses. And the players might be the fifth majors, but TPC Sawgrass has an aura to it. Pebble Beach is something people want to watch. Just don't know how you're going to make this work with the golf courses that they go to that are just not really renowned.
That's a good point.
They're beautiful, but where are they? Caves Valley? No one knows what the hell that is.
No.
What the hell is Caves Valley?
I don't even know.
Like East Lake, kind of, but it's a cool course and it's got history.
Well,
but
there's been some big moments there too.
Yeah, sure. You get to the Tour Championship, it pops, but
the year
proceeding,
Tiger won it at East Lake, right?
And the ropes closed in on him. Everyone walked with him. That was an amazing story.
That was where you felt like they were starting to build the legend of the Tour Championship. It felt more important. It felt like, wow, okay, now you're talking about something that people can pay attention to.
Right.
But it's not going to happen like that every year. You're not going to have a storyline like that every year.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't even know what it means now. And that's part of the problem. When the money, at first it was all about money, right? When they first started it, when it was a $10 million purse and it was like nobody had ever heard of such a thing. And now the money's so irrelevant because these guys have so much.
They make so much money.
And it's like, oh, another 12 million, 15 million doesn't even matter, right? Like it just doesn't move the needle.
Well, last week's an example. There's a purse.
Right.
Like Rory could have shown up and won it and made $3 million or whatever. He's like, I'll pass.
Just doesn't mean enough to him.
Yeah, I don't really care enough.
Like he can make. I mean, I think his revenue opportunities are so vast, and whenever he wants to show up somewhere and make money, he can show up somewhere and make money. Right?
Yeah, it really is an incredible business for that because, I'm sure other athletes charge money or could charge money for a fantasy lifestyle. You know what I mean? Like a fantasy world where. You pay Sidney Crosby $100,000 and he'll come out and play pickup with you. I'm not saying Sid does that. I don't know if players are doing that, but you could do that.
Right.
Like I'm sure there are millionaires in Canada, billionaires in Canada or down in Pittsburgh that'd be like, I'll pay Sid $100,000 for him to come and hang out in the dressing room and come out and play.
Come to my son's bar mitzvah.
Yeah, exactly.
Skate
Stuff
around with the kids.
You see that with rock stars and pop stars. It's like, come to the Prince of Saudi Arabia will pay you $5 million to come and sing at this kid's birthday party or whatever it is. There probably are avenues out there for other athletes to do it, but it's very prevalent in golf.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just more conducive to it. It's a 4-hour round. You're out there. You get a chance to talk. Everyone can play with you and feel like they're learning something and have fun. And to your point, Rory can basically fly into any city around the world and say, I'm here. Find me a course. Find me 3 other guys. Tell them they each got to throw me $50,000, and I'll play.
Yeah,
and he can probably do that. Maybe more than $50,000 a guy.
That's essentially what happens on the PGA Tour, right?
Yep.
It's not well documented, and there's not a real above board way of tracking it. But when guys roll into town on a Monday or a Tuesday, and then the Pro-Am on the Wednesday, those Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Monday is generally the day a lot of them do it. They do a corporate event, and when they come to the Canadian Open, RBC is the big sponsor, so. It's not an appearance fee, but it kind of is an appearance fee.
Yes.
You're doing an event on the Monday with clients, with
shaking the right hands, going out and smiling.
Yeah. And Rory is probably, to go to bat for Rory, like if you had to pick an athlete,
top of the list,
charm your clients, like your best clients, there's nobody better.
Yeah.
Like this guy is an impeccable, human being in terms of just being in a room and, being, acting humbly, but also having an aura of
he's got
a super
charisma.
athlete.
He's a gregarious guy.
He's just flat out nice. Yeah, he's flat out nice. He's
lived it all, seen it all.
He's also seen it all. He's got his demons. He's got his complications, but he's also he's not afraid to talk about them.
Well, and that's again what separates him and Scheffler. Like we heard Jordan Spieth say, I think when they were overseas, I believe it was after the Open Championship. And Spieth has known him forever. Both Texan boys, both grew up playing together. And he's like, this guy's completely different than everyone else. And he referenced those corporate events. He's like, Scotty doesn't do them.
Yeah.
Like everyone else does them. Everyone else gets a call from a bank or a business or an apparel line and says, would you show up here? We'll give you $250,000. Yeah, I'll show up and do that. Like Scotty doesn't do it.
No.
Like, no, I'm not interested. I'm going home. Like I'm going to hang out at home.
Because guess what? I've had a very short career relative to the greats of the game, and I'm already like top 5 in all-time money.
Right, exactly.
Like you can't even imagine how much this guy's.
It's so much money, and that's a great reference because I want to play a famous clip from 33 years ago. We'll play it a little bit later this hour. Tom Kite, the O-Dog's favorite clip. He and I were texting back and forth about it this morning. It's one of the great anniversaries. So we'll play the Tom Kite shot, heard and seen around the world a little bit later this hour. But we were talking about this just at the end of the last hour, that Serge Savard, the obviously all-time great Montreal Canadian Hall of Famer, speaking very highly of Lane Hudson, as he should be. I mean, Hudson was an incredible story. Like, you and I, we were both in Montreal last year for the President's Cup. You were over there. Were you?
No, I didn't go.
Okay,
no.
You weren't there. Okay, so when we were there, first thing I noticed when I landed in Montreal, because camp was open, was everything was about Lane Hudson.
Right.
Everything was about Lane Hudson. Like, wait till you see this guy coming out of school. He's going to be a stud. And to the credit of the Montreal Canadiens media and the fans, like they were out in front of this.
Oh, yeah.
And yes, you have to take everything with a grain of salt when it comes to fandom. Every single fan base is going to pump the tires of their own players more than anybody else and be a little bit delusional at times and a little bit overly optimistic, which is fair and fine. But this one they nailed. Like, it was so much buzz there. It was palpable. You could feel it. It's like, this is his town already. The guy hasn't played a game yet this season. And they nailed it because he exceeded those high expectations that were hovering around him in September. Guy was a phenom this year. He was absolutely spectacular. And Savard is saying that, basically the most talented skater anyway since Guy Lafleur, which is incredibly high praise, and also a 40-year gap since Lafleur left the Montreal Canadiens. So we're talking about a significant amount of time here, but also puts pressure on the kid. Mm-hmm. Like, how do you follow this up? What if there's a sophomore slump? Like, I'm very curious to see what happens with the Habs this year, because they caught lightning in a bottle post All-Star break last year, and they were outstanding, and they were winning a ton of games, and they just crept over the line, and they found a way to get in, and other teams that were around them kind of faded a little bit. What are you going to be this year? If the expectation is playoffs, because I don't believe it was last year. I don't believe it should have been last year. Again, they exceeded expectations, but I don't think anyone was thinking they were going to make it. Now they have. Now Demidov is going to play a full season for you. Now Hudson is an established defenseman in the league. Sam Montembeault is possibly your third-string goalie for the Canadian team. Mm-hmm. Now it's like, what do you got, Marty St. Louis? What do you got, Montreal Canadiens? Now that you got a target on your back and no one's going to take you lightly, what do you have?
100%. And it's a completely different landscape, right? Like, we've seen it in Toronto where expectations, when they get high, can be a burden, right? And that team played last year, to your point, without any. And there's nothing better in sports than being the team that nobody saw coming. Although, even though they saw Lane Hudson coming in Montreal, they did call the shot on that one. There were moments last season where that team looked horrendous, right? Like, there was early in the season,
they were the worst defensive team in the league.
And Marty St. Louis,
they were horrendous.
That swarm that he was trying that just wasn't working, and to Marty St. Louis' credit, he went away from it eventually and realized that was going to be the death of them. And when they started playing, maybe you could argue a more conventional defensive style, and they found some rhythm, they found some success, and it's great. Like, that's a great season. But you're right, Hayes. Like, that's a tough season to follow up.
Yes, it is.
It's a very tough season to follow.
Very difficult. And with that in mind, I figured I'd put together a couple of better chance of happening options here. Okay, I'll throw these at you, Dave. You and I, we can go back and forth on this. Again, we're less than 2 months away from the opening night in the National Hockey League. Right? Like, it's going to happen quick here, man. The Leafs will be in camp in a month. So, better chance of happening. Lane Hudson makes Team USA for the Olympic team, or Connor Bedard makes Team Canada.
Ooh, okay. This is a really good one.
Because they're loaded on defense in the U.S.
That's the thing.
Like, they are loaded.
I mean, it is not an easy team to make.
No, it's not. Like, Quinn Hughes is on it. McAvoy's on it already. Slavin's going to be there. Faber's going to be there. I think Adam Fox will still make the team. I think.
Yep.
Werenski's on the team for sure. So there's 6 guys right there who I believe will be playing.
Yeah, I'm just looking at their depth chart. You're right. Like, it's a tough.
They're loaded.
Like,
now Canada's loaded too, so it's not like Connor Bedard is going to be cakewalking his way into a spot.
They had Faber, Fox, Hannafin, McAvoy, Sanderson, Slavin, and Werenski on their Four Nations teams.
I didn't even mention Sanderson and Hannafin.
That's 7 guys. So who's coming off to get him on? Right, is the question.
That's the issue.
Maybe Faber? I don't know.
Well, I don't think so, man. Faber and Slavin were phenomenal as a pairing. Faber's really good. and he's a right shot defenseman.
Maybe Hannafin. I don't know.
That would be the one.
Yeah.
For me. Like, and the thing is, Sanderson and Hudson, they have a similar style of play.
Maybe he knocks out Sanderson.
That's the question. Like, if he continues to play, although Sanderson's really good, man.
Yeah, we saw it
Jake
against the Leafs,
Sanderson
right?
is really good. Plays a ton of minutes. He's gaining confidence every single year. I'm going to say Hudson is more likely to make USA than Bedard, and I think it's more about Bedard. I don't sense he's that close. I think Chicago's been so bad for 2 years.
Yeah.
It's not helped him. He's not had a ton of support. Not a big guy, right? Not a big guy. Not a guy that I think at this point in his career would allow John Cooper, the head coach, to feel comfortable putting him in a position that is not conventional to him.
Yeah.
In other words, he is a goal scorer, like a pure goal scorer, offensive threat. That he's not doing that on this team. Like that's McDavid's role. That's McKinnon's role. Right, that's going to be Marner's role, and Sid's still going to play a role in that. If Bedard's on this team, you're looking at like a 12th or 13th forward.
Yes.
Like, can you play 8 to 10 minutes and be a checking role? He can't do that.
I was going to say, that's not the role for him.
That's not the role for him. So I think it's more likely Hudson's on Team USA than Connor Bedard's on Team Canada.
I think you're right. I think the one thing about Bedard that I think you have to keep in mind, though, because this is a Hockey Canada production, and he's been good to Hockey Canada. They have a lot of time for him, as evidenced by the fact they're inviting him out to the orientation camp.
Mm-hmm.
So that sometimes gets underplayed. Like, Hockey Canada's loyalties, mean a lot, especially on those borderline picks, like those last few guys on the roster, the guys who may or may not make it, the guys who end up making it are the guys who've done something for Hockey Canada. And this guy's, he's won a World Junior essentially single-handedly.
Yeah, he did.
I mean, for Hockey Canada.
Right.
So
and was at the World Championships last year. Did not partake this year, which
Yeah.
I found, somewhat interesting. But, yeah, no, I hear you. And he is a big part of their future still. And there could be an element of that experience. But this is the Olympic Games,
That's
man.
the thing. It's hard to justify just throwing a guy on the roster for his experience.
You can't do it for the Olympics.
It's hard to do that.
Yeah. You can do it for the World Championships.
Yeah.
You can do it maybe for the Four Nations. You could have done it. They didn't, but maybe you could have. But the Olympic Games, I don't think you can play like that.
Yeah, the spots are so precious. And to your point, I do think you're right. Like, it would come down to, one of the last forward, essentially. And for that guy, you'd probably want more of a role player, established role player, grinder guy, if you're going that direction. If that's what you
I think that's smart. Yeah, I think, and I think that's the way Hockey Canada has generally operated over the years.
Yeah.
Give me a veteran guy who I can trust in a lot of different situations.
I'll tell you what, though, I would love to see Connor Bedard playing among star players. Because you don't get to see it when he's playing with the Blackhawks.
That's very, very, very true. And that would have been that was the dream. Like, when he was coming out a couple of years ago, we have talked about it on this show, like the idea of 2026, he gets there and plays maybe a prominent role.
Yeah.
Like, he's a right winger with McDavid or something like that, and McDavid's dishing pucks to him, but it just doesn't seem even remotely close to that happening.
Unless he comes storming out of the gates.
And that's maybe he had a great offseason, a long offseason. He's ready to go year 3, and that's clearly the projection of his career, the trajectory of his career. He didn't hit the ground running like McDavid did, like Sid did, like others have done. This has been it's going to be a slower climb for him, but maybe he does break loose. But in order for that to happen, he's got to have an exceptional October, November, December.
Yeah.
Like top 5 in the league in points type exception. I think just be an absolute dominant force.
Yeah.
Or are they going to go with somebody else? All right. Better chance of happening this year. Austin Matthews scores less than 40 goals, or Austin Matthews scores more than 60 goals.
Oh, I think the better chance is the under there, like the low end, because we don't know what his health situation is, right? Like, the idea that he's going to be fully healthy again is a big question mark.
Yeah.
And
he's got to prove that. Like, he'll say it when he arrives. I'm sure he will. Everyone says I had a great offseason, feeling great. But I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah. And then on top of that, even if he came in fully healthy, I have a hard time believing that the absence of Mitch Marner is not going to hurt him to some degree as a producer of goals, because Marner's been instrumental in his production.
Mm-hmm.
You do the math. I've probably said this stat too much, but Marner assisted on 50% of his goals since Babcock left town, and 60-some% of his playoff goals.
Do the math.
Do the math.
Do the math.
I mean, I'm not saying that other people can't assist on his goals. I'm not saying Matthews can't create a lot of goals for himself. But there's no denying that there's going to be an adjustment period where the guy who has been his number one servicer, feeder, T-man is not there anymore.
Yeah, I think the play is the under as well. I think it's more likely it's less than 40. We just saw it. Now, if I had to make a bet, I think he chases down 50 this year. He's somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
But also, I made this argument. It's not even really an argument. It's more factual about just the history of the sport. Most players, especially like the elite players, the guys who put up ridiculous statistics, they do that their first 6, 7, 8 years in the league. And then it slowly falls off.
Yeah.
And I said it last year about McDavid. I'm like, I don't think he's ever going to score 64 goals again. I don't think he's ever going to get 160 points again. That's not the way it goes. Gretzky, his first 7, 8 years was unbelievable, and then it kind of dropped. Mario Lemieux, that's just the way it goes. Guys get 10 years into their career. Doesn't mean they're still not great. It means they usually focus on different areas of their game. They've kind of done it all, seen it all. They've chased points. They've been in that position where they're on their toes every single night when they're 22 and 23, and they almost can't wait. They're salivating to play a bad team because it could be points night. I think as players mature, they don't look at the game the same way.
Yeah.
And I think Matthews has to fall in line in this. I think he could still be, and I think he should still be known as the best goal scorer in the game and the best goal scorer in the world. I still believe he owns that title and is worthy of still owning that title. But that doesn't guarantee you're actually going to score the most goals every single season. It did for quite some time. Where he was a lock. He was going to win the Rocket every single year.
Felt that way.
It felt that way, and he did in many ways.
Yeah.
But I do think it's reasonable to expect that he's going to hover more around 40 for the rest of his career. And there'll be a couple of years where he gets to 52, 54, 55. That would not shock me at all, and I wouldn't be surprised if it happened this year. Be it 50, 52, 53 goals. I would not be surprised at all. But 60 plus, he's done that twice. It's so tough to score 60.
It is.
Ovechkin did it once. Stamkos did it once. And I believe they're the only two guys, and then McDavid did it, and obviously Austin's done it a couple of times. Very few guys in the history of the game have ever done it.
Yeah, really short list.
Yeah, so to expect Matthews to do it a third time without Marner at this stage in his career, I think it's asking way too much.
And I also think he knows and we know that no one's impressed by it. Whether he gets 40, 50, or 60, it's going to be about what do you do in round 1, round 2. Hopefully, hey, how about round 3 for a change?
Yeah, let's
and maybe even round 4 one day.
Right.
But for a guy who's got 4 playoff goals in his most recent 18 playoff games, I think it is, that's where the production needs to be bumped up.
That's where he's got to prove he's the best goal scorer. Yes exactly. Because there is a distinction to be made here. In the regular season, he's the best goal scorer.
Yeah.
In the playoffs, he can't shine a light to Draisaitl or Mikko Rantanen or there's a number of guys.
Not a small sample
Braden
size anymore.
Point.
It's 50 plus playoff games career. I mean,
he scores as if he's a 15 to 20 goal scorer.
Yeah, instead
instead of a 50 plus guy.
At times he does. You're right.
Yeah,
he's had a couple of nice series, but not enough.
Yeah, that's where it's got to change. And you're right. Ultimately, that's where he is in his career now. And that's you look at Ovechkin, who got one. You look at a guy like Mike Modano, who got one, first overall pick, American superstar, stayed with the same team forever, captain, blah, blah, blah. He got one.
Yeah.
He got it, right? Yzerman always gets used, and understandably so, and that would be great. But Yzerman ended up winning a bunch of Stanley Cups.
With a bunch of other stars.
With a bunch of other superstars, with the highest payroll in the league, and they had 1 million Hall of Famers come and go. I don't think that's a reasonable, bar to set. It's Ovechkin's career. It's, again, Mike Modano's. You got to get one. That's it now.
Well,
unfortunately,
in this town of all towns.
Yeah, no, exactly.
This town of all towns, one would be
the hope
enough.
was when they all came up, it's like maybe they can run off 2 or 3 or 4 or something like that.
Hey, Babcock was the guy. Babcock was, comparing them to the Blackhawks who got 3 in 6 years.
Yeah.
Right? He was the guy saying, doesn't that remind you of that?
That was the hope.
Yeah.
And now it's that is completely left town.
Yeah.
Find a way to get one.
That's just it.
All right. Well, with that in mind, better chance of happening this year. The Vegas Golden Knights win the Stanley Cup or the Maple Leafs win the Stanley Cup?
Oh, both juicy stories.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, the Leafs winning the Stanley Cup is the juiciest of the juicy.
And the most difficult one to actually envision because it's just been so long.
Yeah.
But it can happen.
There are still people living that saw it.
Yes.
I know some of them.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah.
But yeah,
It can happen.
it has and it can. Will it happen? Look, I mean, I think if you actually had money on this, you'd be crazy not to bet on the Golden Knights.
Yeah, based on their short history, but very successful history.
They've shown an aptitude for figuring it out, right? Even though you worry about the injuries on the back end, obviously.
Petrangelo's huge.
Pietrangelo not
Their
being
goaltending.
available.
I don't think they're like this superpower team.
They're not.
Vegas. They're a very good team. And they've earned the reputation that they have, which is they're uber competitive, top down. They're going to do everything they can to win, and it's been thoroughly impressive to watch them operate. Full credit,
And they've won.
they've won, so they can drop the mic and say no one can come at us. I get it. They're a very good team, but they're not the best roster in the league. Top to
Not right
bottom.
now.
No, they're not.
They gotta
and
make
the
some
Leafs.
changes.
Yeah, the Leafs roster I don't think is much different, like guy to guy. I really don't. But based on history, the choice is probably Vegas.
I mean,
choice is probably Vegas.
well, you're right.
But Eichel gets hurt a lot. Stone gets hurt a lot. What's
I'm
Aiden
with
Hill
you.
going to be?
I mean, and the bottom line is like, if you you can chart the path. If you really want to be as like the optimist and the glass half full and the rose-colored glasses of this past Leaf season, you can make the case. Look, Stolarz doesn't get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
They take advantage of the sleepy Panthers in Game 3 and get up 3-0. I mean,
Different world.
They have a chance to win the Stanley Cup. They have a chance to get to a Stanley Cup at the very minimum.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? You can believe that when you look at Stolarz and you look at Wall, you can see in their play at its best, albeit with the caveat that they always seem to get hurt at the wrong time, and they both have gotten hurt at very wrong times in big series very recently. You can see Stanley Cup champions in those guys. Like, you can see play that befits a Stanley Cup champion, which is more than you'd be able to say for the Maple Leafs in the Matthews era.
Okay, well, let me skip ahead to that one here. Better chance of happening this year. Anthony Stolarz starts 45-plus games or Joseph Woll starts 45-plus games.
Oh, that's a good one.
Like this, I think it's, unfortunately, I think it's Joseph. No, I shouldn't say unfortunately, but I think it's Joseph Woll.
Yeah.
Like Stolarz has been in the game longer. He's older. And he's never been able to do it. He hasn't been given the opportunity necessarily, but this year he was given the opportunity.
Oh, yeah. They would have rolled with him.
And the injuries showed up, right?
Yeah.
Not just in the playoffs. He had the high ankle sprain or whatever it was. He was out for 2 months.
Yeah.
And it was a long time. And remember, he returned in Seattle right before the break, and he had an unbelievable season. But I think it's more like Wall stayed healthy all year.
He did.
Like I think that
year.
was this year, yes. But I think it's a better sign for what I can predict could happen in the future. And I'm not sure either guy's going to get to 45 starts this year. I wouldn't necessarily put money on that.
I was going to say, they're probably the best money bet is neither gets there.
Neither guy gets there. But if I'm choosing one or the other, I'm going Joseph Woll.
Yeah. I think that's probably the best bet. I think that probably is the best bet, although both of them have. I mean, you probably want to consult a handful of physiotherapists on this and, biomechanics guys.
Pretty deep question.
Because, I mean, like, who's more likely to get hurt is essentially what you're asking.
I guess so. I mean, and listen, there could be a performance dip, right, at the same time.
But we really haven't seen that from either guy.
No.
Almost
Like
all of their
Stolarz-
problems have been injury related.
For the most part.
Pretty
Yes.
much.
Yeah. Yeah. Stolarz was phenomenal. He was very good in the playoffs. He was, and Joseph Woll, he was thrown to the wolves somewhat. Like they held on for dear life in that game 1 against Florida. He gave up a couple of soft goals, but he gets thrown in. You're not like to get thrown into an environment like that.
That's tough.
Very difficult. He was very good in Game 6.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think he was great in Game 5 or Game 7, but nobody was.
Nobody was.
Nobody was. But that didn't really come up much because, again, it was more about the no-shows by the best players, which is understandable and definitely deserved in terms of the analysis. But I have been saying for years with this team, like, what maybe their best bet at getting over the top is get to a Game 7 and they just have a goalie that has a miraculous game.
Yeah.
You know, and I understand predicting that is somewhat of a loser's mentality, and it puts a lot of pressure on one guy, but it can happen.
And I think
it has happened before.
And I think both these guys are good enough to be that guy.
Right. Like we're talking a 45-stop shutout, and it's like, I can't believe we got goalie. The other team's like, we just got goalie. What do you want us to do? Got goalie.
I think you're right. That's the path, man. That's the path to real success in this
It might
league
be.
with this team.
It might be. And just basically drag them into uncharted territory. And then tell Matthews and company, all right, you guys got to dance now. All right, we'll continue with some more of these. I've got my Hazy B list coming up as well. Dan Graziano of ESPN. He will join us later this afternoon. The Jays just picked up a win. They won in the afternoon against the Cubs. Hoffman came in, closed the door. Vladdy with a 2-run home run in the 7th to give them the lead. They went 2-1. Tight game. Cubs are a good team. So you take 2 out of 3 against the Cubs. And we were wondering that going into the Dodgers series, right? You end up 3-3. Dodgers and Cubs, you'll take that.
For sure.
Right? 500 against really good teams. And you move on with your season. So the Jays with a big win today. Scherzer on the mound again. And he pitched well also. So we'll recap what happened in this series against the Cubs. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.
Now, back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
I love it when you do it like that, and when you're close up, give me the shivers. Oh, baby, you wanna dance till the sunlight cracks. And when they say the party's over, then we'll bring it right back, and we'll say, I love it when.
All right, the Jays won again this afternoon, so they take 2 of 3 against the Cubs. And whenever you have positive news on Max Scherzer starting and getting through the game and not giving up many runs,
Yeah.
and Jeff Hoffman coming in and getting the job done, closing the game out in the 9th, Vladdy hits a home run. It's like a trifecta of everything you want to hear if you're a Blue Jay fan.
Without a doubt. And beating another good team in a series.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you look at their numbers against good teams, and this is not like them beating up on the weaklings of baseball, right? Like, they are a legitimate, really good team against the best teams in the league. And the Cubs are right up there, and they're now, 38 and 30 against 500 teams or better. No, something like that. No, sorry, 37 and 28 against teams that are 500 or better. And you look at their record against all the playoff teams, Hayes. Like, I was just looking at it. They're 29 and 25 against all the teams that are in the playoffs today.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's enough. Yeah.
They're 7-3 against the Yankees. They're 2-1 against the Cubs. You know, they've beat almost everybody. They've got a winning record against the Tigers, against the Mariners, against they're 0-3 against Houston. But they've got a 6-4 record.
They got swept in the second series of the year or whatever it was.
That was early in the
Long
year when
time
they hadn't
ago.
really picked up any steam. But they got a winning record against the Red Sox, 6-4. I mean, they've got a winning record against all the American League playoff teams right now, other than Houston. To your point, so I mean that bodes well. Right?
Absolutely,
this isn't some fluke that they're just reeling off wins.
No,
against
they're checking
all the
every
crappy
possible Michael K box. Right, they got a plus 47 run differential now.
teams. Yeah, which is not impressive.
all world, but it's also not horrendous.
No.
It's just it's upper third in the league. But the point being is, a month and a half ago, I personally, I still had some reservations. I'm like, let's see what's going on here. Is it just a hot June, a hot July? Is this actually going to continue with Addison Barger and Ernie Clement and all these different guys who have come up and contributed to this team? Is Eric Lauer going to continue to pitch this way? I think
for sure.
that was reasonable that the Yankees were kind of stumbling a little bit, but they deserve the benefit of the doubt that they would get themselves out of that. I'm not sure that's going to happen anymore with the Yankees. I'm not convinced they make the playoffs. We'll see. They have to prove it. But the Jays, now that we're into mid-August, and they've been playing like this for about 2.5, 3 months now, it's no longer a mirage, and it's no longer them having to prove that they're worthy of the record that they have.
You're right.
Because of everything you just said. They're not just beating up on soft teams. They're beating the best teams in baseball.
Yeah.
The Cubs are a really good team, and they just beat them 2 out of 3. Now you got Texas tomorrow night. DeGrom's on the mound. There's a challenge. But we've seen that recently, right? We've seen them go up against Blake Snell recently and Tarek Skubal recently, and it's not going to be any different with DeGrom tomorrow night. It's going to be difficult, but I feel pretty good about their chances of generating some offense against them and finding a way to beat the Rangers tomorrow night.
Yeah, I'm with you.
You can't have anything but optimism with this team because they've earned that.
They really have.
They have played themselves into a position where I think if you're watching them daily, which we all are, is you're no longer surprised they find a way to win a game the way they won it today. Mm-hmm. And I think the Vladdy in particular in this series, a couple of the defensive plays he's made have been phenomenal. He made that one play last night where, that was a rocket that looked like it was going to get through the gap, and he ends up closing the inning out. Irrelevant in the end, they end up losing the ball game, but still, that stretch he made on the Bichette kind of miracle play or in the first game of the series, those are Gold Glove type performances by Vladdy Guerrero Jr. And then on top of it, he's got 3 hits in the opener when they win, and today he hits a 2-run home run in the 7th inning.
Yeah,
and effectively hands them a win tonight or puts them in a position to win this afternoon.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Vladdy is at the forefront of this, which I think is really, really significant. We've been talking about it this hour, like best players in every sport. We're talking about hockey and Matthews and what's Lane Hudson going to do in Montreal. And ultimately, for for your fans, but I think most importantly within your clubhouse or dressing room, for you to really feel like you got a shot to win, you got to have your best players leading the way.
Yeah.
And I think what Vladdy has shown over the last few games, but really over the last couple of months, is he's in a position to do that. Like, he's clearly their best player, and he's playing like it.
Well, you look at his numbers post All-Star break, right? Like, he's just absolutely put the pedal to the metal. Like, he's a different player since the All-Star break. That's 26 games since the All-Star break. That was his 8th home run. Now he's up to 20 on the season. After he was kind of languishing.
Happens quickly.
It's happened quickly. And his OPS since the All-Star break is way above 1,100. Like, he's where it was, what was it, 818 before the break. So, yeah, he's like, there was a lot of, one of the reasons that people were skeptical about whether this was real was that Vladdy just hadn't really turned on the switch yet, right? And now that he has, like, today's a great example. Like, you're going to need, it's great to have all these role players that have emerged out of nowhere and overachieved and been a big part of this, this collective, as Mark Shapiro was talking about the other day, about how this is not a team built on individuals. This is a team built on the depth and the all-for-one mentality that this team has fostered, and the brotherhood, as George Springer has talked about. But you still need stars, man.
Yeah.
You're not going to win. You're not going to win big games with star players coming through eventually.
Yes.
I mean, it's just not going to happen. So,
Over this long of a it doesn't matter what sport you're playing. You have to have your stars.
yeah, there's a reason you pay a guy $500 million, because you believe that he will show up when it matters for you.
And this afternoon was an example of it.
Yeah,
Like, that's the biggest hit he's had all year.
for sure.
And there's going to be bigger opportunities and bigger platforms coming. Every game you play from here on out is going to be the biggest game of the year.
And the fact that it's a home run, and the fact that it's, at home and another sold out day, and, against another good team in town. Like, there was a time there, but about a month and a half ago, our good pal Rich Griffin was calling him the most expensive singles hitter in the world, which is essentially what he was.
Yeah, that's right.
And
He's always walks more than he strikes out.
Right.
Great. That's great value. But it's even better value when you hit for some power every
right,
once in a while.
because the home run is, there's a reason why they emphasize home run hitting in this sport, because it's an incredible weapon.
Yeah.
Pitching's so good now, you don't get many, you don't get many chances to score these days against the best of the best. And so when you do get those chances, when you do get those pitches, lifting them out of the ballpark is an awfully effective strategy to victories. And Vladdy hadn't been doing that for, a long, good part of the early part of the season. But he's doing it now.
Yeah, he is. And again, you look at Max Scherzer, man, very, very efficient. He went 7 innings today, 5 hits. He only had 78 pitches. Yeah. 78 pitches in 7 innings is incredibly efficient.
Super efficient.
Really, really efficient. And he ended up giving up another home run, but it was a solo shot. You can live with that.
Yeah.
Like, he's given up a home run basically every outing. That's their staff. They give up home runs. Gosman got smacked again last night. Like, these guys, I believe they're all kind of at the top of the list in terms of starters in baseball that give up home runs. But they're not allowing the rallies to develop. They're not allowing guys like teams to kind of small ball them to death, which, is substantial. And Atkins said that when he was on the show a couple of weeks ago. Like, their mentality, and again, they're trying to massage the facts here a little bit, but their mentality is, if you're aggressive, every once in a while you're going to get hit out of the park. But that's what they like about Hoffman. Like, you look at how he closed the game out today, he just challenged the guy. I'm throwing 98, basically center in. If you can hit it, go hit it. But I don't think you can.
That's it.
And some guys hit it. And when they do, it goes a long way. But there's a lot of guys that can't. And the mentality of this staff right now, and I guess Max Scherzer is kind of the personification of this based on who he's been his whole career, is I'm going to come out and I'm going to grunt and I'm going to challenge you and I'm going to throw strikes. If you can hit one, go ahead. But I don't think you can hit more than that. And he proved it again today.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of validity to what Atkins said about, just you like the mentality of the pitchers they have. And Max Scherzer is a dog. He will go at you, right? That's how he's become a 3,000 strikeout sure Hall of Famer, right? You don't get to that point without that mentality of, here's my best, you give me your best, we'll see who comes out on top. Gosman's like that. Gosman's not afraid to challenge people. Obviously, Hoffman's not afraid to challenge people. I think you'll take that. Like, rather than nibbling around the edges and walking people, like today's a good example. They only walked 2 guys.
Yeah.
And Scherzer Scherzer walks 1 through 7
1, and
innings.
Little walked 1 too.
Yeah.
And Dominguez came in the 8th with 2 on, and what did he do? Challenge guys.
Right.
Struck them out.
Just challenge people. I
Yep.
mean, it's not always going to go your way, but look, if you believe in your staff and you believe in the guys you've put together, and like they feel, you have to believe that's the best strategy, right?
Yep.
And I'll take that. I'll take that.
No, I agree. And today kind of had that playoff feel, like two teams that are going to the playoffs, low scoring, low event, no errors, like clean game. And it's who's going to have the big moment, who's going to strike out more, and who's capable of giving me one big at bat in a big moment. And that's what happened today. Scherzer, Little, Dominguez, Hoffman found a way to get the job done, and Vladdy had one big swing. You win a ball game. You leave the stadium happy.
Hey, man.
That's what's coming, man.
That's the way you do it.
That's what's coming. All right, Best Bets powered by FanDuel a little bit later this afternoon. We'll get into the NFL storylines as we continue through camp. Day 1 of the second week of the FedEx Cup playoff as well. Rex Hoggard will join us at the Golf Channel on NBC. That's coming up in about 45 minutes. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.
Back to OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
All right, Rex Hoggard coming up later this afternoon. The PGA Tour is, I guess, halfway through their FedEx Cup playoffs. The LPGA Tour, they're on the West Coast. They're in Portland right now. Brooke Henderson shut the lights out today.
Yeah.
7 under. But the ladies are going to be in town next week out of Mississauga. I'm planning on going. I'm looking forward to it. I think the first up crew, in fact, I know, they're going to be there on Thursday and Friday, which is awesome, out of Mississauga. And here's your chance to win a pair of tickets to the Penalty Box on Friday, August 22nd. A semi-private box located right on the 10th hole. Call number 10 right now at 416-870-1050. Caller number 10 at 416-870-1050 will win the tickets to the event. Your tickets will include access to the suite, food and beverage, and private washrooms, which is huge. That's probably all you really needed to hear.
That
Private washroom, make the call.
That's a great perk.
That's a huge perk, man. Because, it's a porta potty vibe. Yeah. And they're fine. They're okay. You can survive. There could be lineups. It's going to be extremely hot.
I was going to say, if you get them on a Thursday, the portas are usually in pretty good shape. You get them on a Sunday.
Because the turnover is not necessarily prompt.
I'm not sure they're doing them. I'm not sure they're emptying them daily.
I think it's a Wednesday drop, Monday morning pickup.
I think you're right.
All right, 416-870-1050. Again, first up, we'll be broadcasting live from the Open on August 21st and 22nd. So stop by and say hi if you're out on the course. Get your tickets today at cpkcwomensopen.com. Looking forward to that. Yeah, Mississauga, great track, great course. Brooke Henderson will be there, of
That'll
course.
Be fun.
Ellie Corda's going to be there. Lydia Ko's going to be there.
Yeah.
Like, the field is stacked.
Big time.
Yeah, it's going to be a great tournament.
And just when you thought, Hayes, that maybe this tournament could be interesting, Scotty Scheffler down at the BMW, birdies 3 of his last 4 to shoot a 66 and take the lead at 4 under. You were talking yesterday about his odds to win the tournament before the tournament started, which were ridiculous.
Plus 250.
Now he's at plus 190.
Yeah. Like he's and by tomorrow, you got to think he puts the tee in the ground. He might be minus money.
He might be.
Like it might be like minus 120, and he's got
down.
54 holes to play.
Think about that.
Because that's another thing that he has going for him. Like he is like Tiger. Like if you give him a lead, if he's leading after 36 holes, it just doesn't feel like he loses.
It doesn't.
Like he can chase you. He doesn't like Tiger didn't chase a lot. Like Tiger would T2 it, T3. He didn't win every single week. Generally speaking, when Tiger won, it was like you kind of knew after the first, like after 36, he might ease into the round on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
By Friday, you're like, this guy's so dialed in. By Saturday, you're like, he's got the lead. It's over.
Never
Threw away anything.
54-hole leads were
it was
money.
Basically over for him. And Scheffler, I don't think, is far off that. But
it's Rory. He was playing with Rory. Rory shot an even par.
Okay,
even par 70.
Well,
so
he's a little bit rusty, McIlroy. He hasn't played in a while.
That's right.
A little bit rusty, but Rory will figure it out by East Lake. I'm certain of that. All right, final hour coming up. There you go. Tickets to the Canadian Open next week in Mississauga. First up, again, I'll be there on Thursday and Friday. More into the NFL scene. Best bets coming up. More into the FedEx Cup playoffs as well. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.
This is OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog on TSN 1050.
Final hour OverDrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Brian Hayes, Dave Feschuk in here, Dan Graziano of ESPN in a few moments. Rex Hoggard of the Golf Channel later this hour. Best bet still to come. Jays with a win this afternoon against the Cubs. They beat Chicago 2-1. They take 2 of 3 in that series, and back at it tomorrow night with the Rangers in town.
Big
Just
time,
keep it
man.
rolling, man.
Just keep it rolling.
Keep
Gotta
it
love
rolling.
it. It's impressive. It's an impressive run, and just they're giving you more and more reasons to believe that they could sustain it through the meaningful baseball that's to come, right?
Yeah.
And there's just nobody that's popping up in the American League, Hayes, that scares you, man. It seems like a perfect storm for an opportunistic team to have a magical run.
Yeah, that's right. And I think today there were 2 markers that really make you feel confident. The first is Max Scherzer pitches 7 innings today. Very efficient. Yes, gave up a home run, but a few strikeouts, through under 80 pitches in 7 innings.
That's incredible.
Like, that's very efficient. They allowed him clearly to go, through the rotation a couple more times, and he looks and feels very comfortable on the mound. There's no debating anymore if he's going to pitch every 5th day.
No.
I don't recall the last time John Schneider was really questioned on that. Like, anything going on, any reason to worry about something flaring up? It just hasn't been happening. So Scherzer with a really, really positive day again today. And then Vladdy Guerrero Jr. hits a clutch 2-run home run in the 7th to effectively win the ball game for him.
Yeah.
So you got Scherzer pitching, going deep in games, looking very good, looking very comfortable, and you got Vladdy continuing to mash and continuing to show up and be very clutch post All-Star break. And best player playing like the best player, most talented, best resume, looking like a very talented guy who's going to the Hall of Fame, and Max Scherzer. Everything kind of went the Blue Jays' way this afternoon.
Tell you what, it's the way Scherzer pitched today. It doesn't. We're having that conversation about who are your top 3 starters when it comes down to an ALDS, if indeed you get there, and they're on track to get there as it sits. I mean, Scherzer is making a case that he's got to be one of them.
Yeah,
right. Like he really is, and we're going to see Bieber pitch tomorrow night in Buffalo.
Probably his last start in Buffalo. Maybe he goes one more, but I think we might see him on the road next week.
I mean, it's exciting times, man. When you're excited about guys pitching in Buffalo, and tonight you get Trey Savage pitching in Buffalo, and
right.
There's growing sentiment that he may be part of the playoff picture, a late season picture for the Blue Jays probably as a reliever.
Has to be, yeah.
Their number 1 prospect, and a guy who is just absolutely mowing them down as he makes this incredibly quick climb through. From low A at the beginning of the season to high A Vancouver to double A and now triple A in Buffalo. I mean, it's been an incredible ascent, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. But you're right. Like, you add a power arm like that to a bullpen that has power arms in Hoffman, Varlin can throw, Dominguez can throw. You throw your Savage in there. Little's going to pitch. Then there's your guys.
Yeah.
Like, maybe you transition one of your starters into a bullpen position. Like, if you need long relief. Possibly. I don't know if that's Chris Bassett. Is it Jose Barrios? I don't know.
Yeah.
But,
and the beauty of your Savage is, of course, he's going to come up and no one's going to have a book on him.
yeah, exactly.
And I've been watching some clips of him on YouTube. He's an impressive looking
He throws
athlete.
heat, man.
He throws heat. He's 6'4".
Looks like a
big boy.
horse.
And he throws it. He's got a really interesting delivery. It's really over the top. And, everybody says it's really hard to pick up the ball coming out of his hand. First of all, because it's, miles in the sky, because he's a huge man on a mound, throwing from the top of his reach. And it just seems to flummox people.
Yeah.
At least at the minor league level. And, AAA is pretty as close as you're going to get to knowing what it's going to do at the major league level. So we'll see how he does in Buffalo tonight.
Absolutely. But you're right. When you're tracking the Bisons on a daily basis,
Pretty fun, man.
you're in a pretty good position right now if you're a Blue Jay fan.
The Bisons stink. They're having a tough year.
It's completely irrelevant.
Doesn't matter.
They're completely irrelevant. Nobody cares if they win or lose. Just make sure these guys stay healthy and get out there and get some pitches in or whatever it's going to be and possibly contribute to this team down the stretch. So another big one for the Jays today. Again, they're back in action with the Rangers in town tomorrow. We'll get to our best bets a little bit later this afternoon. You see the Taylor Swift new heights podcast.
Oh, yeah.
It's not the Taylor Swift podcast. I've been calling it that, which is very disrespectful to the Kelsey brothers, who have done a great job of building up that platform. But when Taylor Swift comes on, it's her podcast.
Yes.
Right? She is the show, and the other guys are going to prop her up. But they were playing that live on YouTube last night. At one point, it had like 1.2 million live streams.
Saw that.
Which is absurd.
And it glitched out, apparently. And
yeah.
Caitlin Clark, another famous.
Everyone was getting worried about
saying,
it.
like, are we breaking YouTube tonight?
Right. And the podcast numbers are like unlike anything we've ever seen before. And I thought I saw Stephen A. Smith say on ESPN today that there are people in NFL circles that believe Taylor Swift has been worth $1 billion in terms of value to the NFL.
I can imagine.
$1 billion, just her dating Travis Kelce and being in the stadium every once in a while.
Well, like somebody had the demographics of their podcast. Like the female viewership, listenership for the New Heights podcast went up about 700%.
Yeah, no kidding.
Shockingly.
Probably a drop-off next week.
Yeah. And to hear her talking football, like she's talking.
Yeah.
She's legitimately talking about being excited about the Chiefs drafting Xavier Worthy, and she's talking cover 2 defenses, and she's talking about how she could be an NFL analyst if you give her 16 months. And why? I guarantee you she could be.
Maybe she'll go to ESPN.
You never
Maybe
know.
she'll be working with our next guest before you know it.
Hey.
Here he is, NFL national reporter for ESPN, Dan Graziano. Are you preparing for that, Dan? You and Taylor Swift at some point in studio up in Bristol?
I think if Taylor wants in, I'm not sure what any of us could do about it. She's a force. Yeah. I don't think the Kelsey brothers would mind you calling it the Taylor Swift podcast if she's going to bring 1.2 million live viewers. I think they're fine with that.
No kidding, man. What a scene. And I don't know how often you're talking with people within NFL. I know you do all the time about NFL and players and personnel and games and wins and losses, but in terms of her value to the league, like, are they basically praying that Travis Kelce plays another 3 or 4 years or what?
It's free money. It's unbelievable. When it started a couple of years ago, I remember people like, is this a setup? Is this real? Like, is the NFL? I said, if it is, then whoever at the NFL came up with it deserves a massive raise, because just bringing in viewers that the NFL could have never imagined pursuing. Taylor Swift fans. So yeah, it's a happy accident, but they're head over heels about it at the league offices for sure.
No, it's incredible. I mean, let's talk about Kelce. I mean, obviously, he's been getting a lot of publicity, not only because he's dating the most famous celebrity on the planet, but because he's kind of going through this a reset, I guess you could call it, with the GQ cover and talking about how he slimmed down. He wasn't happy with the way he's played these past couple of years. Dan, but he is 35 years old. He is coming off a Super Bowl where he was essentially a non-entity out there, as were many Chiefs as they got drilled by the Eagles. But do you think like a career rebirth is a legitimate hope for Travis Kelce at this stage?
So I think at this stage, if you're Travis Kelce, you're operating year to year and see how I feel at the end of the year. And I think, look, you see the pivot his brother has made. He's with us now, and he's doing Monday Night Countdown. And if you're down here watching football, he's on every other commercial. I'm sure Travis has big plans in mind for when he's done playing football. But I also think he didn't want to go out like that. Like the Chiefs got embarrassed by the Eagles. I think he wants to take another run at it. Maybe it goes well. Maybe he feels good enough at the end of this coming season to do it again. But yeah, I think you have a guy here who has, they say he has slimmed down and is in better shape this year. We'll see. I mean, Father Time undefeated, especially when we're talking about this sport that wears you down, and the position he plays and the way he's played it wears you down. So maybe he's a great player, Hall of Fame player. Maybe he has one great run left in him with the greatest quarterback we've seen, and he can go out on top. But yeah, we're looking at a guy who's much closer to the end than the beginning. And, GQ, the podcast, there's stuff he's going to want to do when he's done. He's not going to be sick of money.
No, he won't be. And it will be thrown at him left, right, and center. There's no questioning that. And when he does retire, though, you mentioned Mahomes, he'll still be around. Patrick's 29 years old. He's going to play for another decade, you presume, and at a very high level. And, for my money, he's the best player in football. Some might argue Allen, maybe Jackson, maybe Burrow. I don't know. Maybe there's defensive players that could put their hands up. But for me, it's Mahomes. But I'm curious where you think his mindset is moving forward. Has he transitioned away from regular season stats, chasing regular season MVPs. Do you think that's still a part of his future, or is he just hyper-focused on Super Bowls?
Earlier in my career, I covered baseball. I covered the Yankees, the Joe Torre, Derek Jeter Yankees, and they got to a point where if they didn't win the World Series, they considered the season a failure. I think that's a rotten thing to put on yourself, but I also think it's a natural outgrowth of this level of success. Patrick Mahomes, they traded away Tyreek Hill, and what Patrick Mahomes did was change his game, elevate his leadership, bring up a lesser group of receivers, and go to the next 3 Super Bowls and win 2 of them. So this is a player who has had to make pivots throughout his career. When you look at what they had on offense last year, particularly on the offensive line, particularly at the tackle spots, he the fact they won 15 games in the regular season and got to the Super Bowl is a testament to his greatness. He elevated that group. And I think he sees himself as that kind of player, justifiably so. There are going to be years where they have better groups around him, and I think this coming year should be one of them. And there are going to be years where it's more on him to elevate a more of a substandard group, which is what happened last year. So, but yeah, I think he's a guy that when you've won multiple MVPs, multiple Super Bowls before you turn 30, you're thinking about how far can I take this? Can I get to Brady? Can I be the greatest ever to do it? And I think those are the things that when you're Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, the folks that run the Chiefs, I think those are the things you think about right now.
Dan, obviously, this area that we preside in, a lot of Bills interest, a little bit north of the border. The Chiefs are a big reason why they haven't fulfilled the potential that they clearly have shown in the Josh Allen era, with the Chiefs going to 5 Super Bowls and being in 7 straight conference finals. What is the kind of the path in your mind, if there is one, if you're being a Bills optimist, what is the path to the Bills finally getting to that elusive Super Bowl in the Chiefs era?
There's an old gag in the Charlie Brown comic strips where Charlie would try to kick the football and Lucy would just yank it away at the end. And then he'd go back later and try it again. And it was, this time I'm going to get it. And she always pulled it away at the end. Like the Chiefs are Lucy. And when one of these days the Bills feel like, I'm going to kick that football. And look, they have every reason to feel that way. Their program is in a great place. Look at what they did this offseason. They just extended guys. We have our core, we have our team, we know we're good. We just keep doing what we're doing. One of these years, the ball will bounce our way in that January Chiefs game. They know they can beat them. They beat them in the regular season every year. So they're not scared of them. So I think that's right. I think they're doing the right thing. I don't think it would be a good decision for the Bills to kind of change what they do because they keep losing this one game every year. Maybe I'm naive, but I think they're clearly one of the very best teams. They're clearly one of the very best organizations, which is amazing. I mean, you go back and think about before Sean McDermott, Brendan Bean got there, 17 years without the playoffs. Who would have thought that we'd be talking about the Bills this way? But they've built a culture. They've built an organization that is the envy of the league in a lot of ways. People hire their guys to be GMs and head coaches elsewhere. So I think they feel good about where they are. I was at the game in Kansas City, the AFC Championship game last year, and I saw Brandon Beane on his way out of the stadium after the game, and he was devastated, of course. And it's just, he's sitting there in that moment thinking, are we ever going to do this? The Chiefs are on one of the all-time runs. Like, the Bills have the misfortune of having arrived at a time when this version of the Chiefs is also there. So I think the schedule looks good. They could be the 1 seed, get a bye, have the conference championship game at their building. It would be the last game in that stadium. What a story it would be. And I think they have every reason to dream big dreams.
With Dan Graziano of ESPN, if I were to ask you, which of these 2 teams would you apply the label Super Bowl or bust to more? Bills or Ravens? Which one would get that label first?
So I'm going to ask you first what bust means. You mean like somebody gets fired?
Yeah, I guess you could go that far. Yeah.
I don't think either. We had this conversation on our radio show this morning on Sportsmanlike, and that was the definition they applied. And they said the Bills were the one at greatest risk because the Ravens are not going to fire Harbaugh. But I don't think that Sean McDermott is like a hot seat coach to the extent that sometimes he seems to be perceived to be. I've never heard anything from inside the Bills building that reflected discontent or disappointment with Sean McDermott. He has built a culture there. And I think ownership appreciates what he's done there in a place where it had to be built from scratch. So I think he gets a lot of rope. Now, look, if it gets ugly, right? Like if they have a bad year, if they drastically Andy Reid's last couple of years in Philadelphia, those teams were a lot was expected and they didn't win enough games. But if you go 13-4 and get to the conference championship game, you know, I don't know. I mean, like bust, like what? I still don't agree with the idea of making major changes for the sake of change. If you could show me the proof that a head coaching change would fix it, then fair enough. But I don't know that you're going to be able to have those data points.
Yeah, and it comes down to Kansas City standing in the way of the Bills.
I'm sorry.
No, I hear you. Well, and some of it is simply hypothetical. I guess it's a figure of speech, Super Bowl or bust. The point being, like, what's the mentality in the room? Like, where is it more palpable? Like, you've got to win. I would argue it's Buffalo because, again, Harbaugh's got a ring. Like, Lamar doesn't, but the Ravens have won 2 Super Bowls this century. Bills have never won one. And it's only the Chiefs in their way, where the Ravens, they got the Bills in their way, too. They can't beat them either in the playoffs.
But they're feeling it in Baltimore, too. I was just at their training camp a couple of weeks ago talking to John Harbaugh. And he was saying, like, after the season, after they lost in Buffalo, he was talking to the owner, and he was like, we got to do something. We got to – and the owner said to him, it's one lousy game. Don't beat yourself up. But Harbaugh feels it. He's like, you know, look, I got to figure out a way to play the game in January the way we play it in September, October, November, December. And so that's driving them nuts just as much as it's driving the Bills nuts.
Dan, when you look at the league, you know, in full, we just had Davis Sanchez in here, former NFLer, and he was basically making the case that it's, you know, Philly as the prohibitive favorite to repeat just because of the way they've sort of set themselves up as the gold standard. And then he sees Baltimore as the second best team. How do you see it?
I think repeating is very difficult. There's no reason not to like Philadelphia, but there's change on defense. There's a new offensive coordinator. Saquon Barkley had 482 touches regular season and postseason combined. Like that's a ton. And we have a lot of data on running backs with 400 plus touches and the way they drop off the next year. So there are some challenges that await them. But yeah, on paper, look at their roster, nothing not to like. Baltimore, same way, loaded, stacked at every position. It feels like there's a lot fewer questions heading into this season about the Ravens roster than there were even just a year ago. I would put Buffalo in that group with the elite contenders, and I think they belong there. And of course, you have to say Kansas City. They've been to the last 3 Super Bowls, so yeah, I think that's the group. But Baltimore is a very popular pick. People really like their roster, really like their team, obviously like their coaching. When Lamar Jackson has played a fully healthy season, he has generally been MVP or close to it of the league, and the Ravens have generally been one of the very best teams in the league. So as long as he stays healthy, they have every reason to believe they're in that conversation. Contending teams, like I say, Buffalo, Cincinnati, if they get the defense fixed, that NFC North with Detroit and Green Bay, I wouldn't be surprised if either one of those teams got to the Super Bowl. And you know, we'll see. I mean, the Eagles look fantastic, but no one has repeated as division champions in the NFC East in 21 years. Something weird always seems to happen there.
Always does. And I'm curious about the other team in that state, and that being the Pittsburgh Steelers, and where you stand on Aaron Rodgers as their quarterback and the chances of them having success this year.
The list of NFL quarterbacks that have had championship caliber success past the age of 40 has exactly one name on it, and it's Tom Brady. And Aaron Rodgers will turn 42 before the end of this season. It is a long shot to think that he can elevate the Pittsburgh Steelers beyond where they've been, which is, 9-10 wins, first round exit. He himself doesn't have a great history of postseason success, and what he does have is very early in his career, so it's a very long time ago. So I'm a skeptic. Now, Mike Tomlin deserves the benefit of the doubt. He puts together a good team. His teams always compete, and I know their fan base gets frustrated that they don't win more in the postseason. Fair enough. But I think his teams get at least as many wins as their talent level dictates they should, and oftentimes more. So we'll see. I've talked to people there. The vibe in the building sounds good. They have to figure out their young offensive line. If that doesn't come together, it's going to be a rough year for everybody, Aaron in particular. Defense has a little bit of age on it. We'll see. That tends to be pretty consistent, but one of these years you might see some decline from some of these key guys. They have to put a running game together. They have to figure out their receiving group around DK Metcalf. I think they have a lot of questions to answer. Mike Tomlin is very good at answering questions and solving problems as the season goes along, so we'll see. I'm a little skeptical that a 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers can elevate them beyond where they've been.
What's your level of skepticism around the Cowboys, Dan? I mean, coming off the 7-win season,
high,
and in the middle, and in the middle of the circus,
one-word answer:
the Jerry Ringmaster circus.
Yeah.
The counterpoint would be they won 12 games 3 straight years before last year's 7-game debacle, and Jerry's done this before, and they've been able to overcome it.
Yes, and when Dak Prescott has been healthy, this is like what I said about Baltimore a couple minutes ago. When Dak Prescott's been healthy, they've generally been a very good team. They've been a division champion, playoff caliber team. If you look at the seasons he has started and finished healthy, so if that happens, they have the right to expect big things. They've had offensive line injuries in camp. That's always a red flag. Can they get that unit healthy in time to start fast? I mean, they have 3 weeks from tonight. They're playing the Eagles in Philadelphia. I mean, that's let's go, guys. There's no easing into this thing. They don't. Their running back room is new. Is there going to be some high level producer out of that? And then the defense. If Micah Parsons is going to sit out games, which it sounds like he says he is, we'll find out. Can they generate a pass rush? Do they have enough on the back end? They have some key guys coming back from injury on defense, but some of them might not be back week 1. So I think when Dak is there, I think you have the right to expect the offense to be high-powered and the team to be good. New defensive coordinator, Matt Eberflus, I think they'll upgrade in terms of their production on that side of the ball. But the question is, do they have enough to overtake Washington and Philly? I think it's fair to be skeptical until we see it.
Yep, I'm with you on that. Always great catching up with you, Dan. We're almost there. Couple weeks and it's go time. Thank you for doing this.
It's my pleasure, guys. Thanks for having me.
There he is, Dan Graziano of ESPN, joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline. And I think Dan's been involved in the fantasy stuff they've been doing on ESPN. And
I was down in the States watching that a little bit. They were going essentially 24
hours of fantasy.
24 hours fantasy talk. It was wild.
It's crazy, man. Like fantasy, like this is the wheelhouse.
Yes.
This is the eye of the storm for fantasy football.
Yeah.
Now, because in 2 weeks, your teams have been made. You're either going to win or you're going to lose. Yes, you can pick up on the wire. Maybe you can make a trade or two. But if you don't pick the right team, man, everything's a bust.
So I heard your boy Al's brother's in 4 fantasy leagues.
That seems excessive.
I was going to say, any concern that the focus on Hayes and Bro will be kind of wandering?
Not really, because that's just all this guy does.
Yeah,
it's just gamble and fantasy and football. Like he just lives in that world.
Right.
So if anything, I actually take that as somewhat of a positive.
He's dialed in.
Yeah, he's so dialed in. Like he's literally doing nothing but tracking football.
I heard him on the morning show. He said 5 is too many.
Oh, that's
4,
the line
4
of
is the sweet
demarcation.
spot.
5, you're a degenerate loser.
Right.
4, you're a really cool guy.
4 teams is good.
You're just a really stable, cool guy.
Stable guy.
Yeah. I'm in 2, and they're 2 very different pools, which is confusing because there's, some people are crazy with like keeper stuff. And you're doing futures drafts and
full-time
stuff like
job.
that. Yeah. And like there's, obviously somewhere it's like money, there's a cap, and you got to auction type drafts and stuff like that. I do not have the wherewithal for that kind of stuff. I don't have the time.
Big commitment.
Like that's a big issue for me is the pools I'm in, a lot of older guys, which means their kids are older.
Mm-hmm.
So they all want to do it Labor Day. Well, like everyone's like, yeah, I'll just do it Monday night at 9 p.m. I'm like, dude, my kids are going to school the next day.
Yeah.
You know what it's like.
Oh, yeah.
Like when your son was younger, and he's older now, so you could do whatever you want.
Oh, yeah.
He's
I'm one
in
of those
college.
guys.
Yes, you'd be that guy. You'd be like, yeah let's do whatever. It doesn't matter. I know what my house is going to look like Labor Day.
Right.
You know what it looked in your house 10 years ago.
For sure.
Bedlam. They're going back to school. My wife's going to be like, we got everything ready. And the idea of me being like, I'm on the clock.
That's right.
Probably not going to go over so well. So I'm kind of nudging away at maybe Saturday night. How do we feel about that? Or and I'm getting a lot of pushback.
Okay.
Because I only have 1 vote.
Yeah.
The other guy's like, figure it out.
Right.
But you can't auto draft. Nothing worse than getting if you're in an auto draft situation. What's the point?
Yeah, just go buy lottery tickets.
Yeah, what's the point? I can't be there. I'll just auto draft. Well, then don't be in this.
No.
Like, you're just wasting everyone's time, including your own. Anyway, big time fantasy And it changes every year. Like this year's board is completely different.
Yeah.
Like there's so much turnover every single year.
It's crazy.
And now it's like Robinson, Gibbs going first. Does Chase go? Where does Jefferson go with his quarterback?
The research pays off, right?
Research pays off big time.
You guys got any crazy stakes involved? Like I love those. I love you hear some of these. The penalty for finishing last. You got to spend 24 hours in a Waffle House down in the States, and you get an hour.
We don't
off
do
for
any of
every
that
waffle.
stuff. It's kind of cool. Like I kind of appreciate the camaraderie that comes with it.
Yeah.
And it also forces you to stay in it.
Right.
Like that's a big part of
You don't want to
fantasy.
finish last.
Yeah, there's like, there's kind of a binding agreement because any fantasy's tough. If you're 12, 13 weeks in and you realize your team's horrendous, it's tough to stay on it.
Put the time in.
Where this is kind of a reason for you to actually fill out your roster and try to get out of it. Try to get out of the bottom.
Yeah.
Because it's a long season. If you know your team stinks, a couple of injuries, bad picks, you're done. It's just like you get no chance.
Exactly.
All right, Rex Hoggard coming up. Does anyone have a chance at beating Scotty Scheffler this weekend or down at East Lake or at any point over the next 5, 6, 7 years? Rex will answer that and more. We'll catch up with him next. All right, best bets a little bit later in the hour. Jays with a big win today. Max Scherzer looked really good. Gave up a solo shot, but went 7 innings strong. Looked like himself. Vladdy Guerrero Jr. with a 2-run home run in the 7th inning. Jeff Hoffman comes out in the 9th to close it. Like, you couldn't ask for 3 better check marks. Like, that's what you're looking for. Scherzer to have an outing, Vladdy for a clutch hit, Hoffman come in and close the door. Boom. Playoff style.
Good recipe.
Very good recipe. And Jays again are in action tomorrow night with the Rangers in town. A recipe for success, clearly, in the golf world has basically been just bet Scotty Scheffler to win. And if he's not going to win, he's certainly going to be top 5 or top 10.
Yeah.
Right? Last week, I was shocked he didn't win last week. He's right there. He's chasing down Fleetwood. Shout out to Justin Rose. Incredible story. If he beat McIlroy at Augusta, think about this would be the year of Justin Rose.
You're right.
Like, if he found a way to come back and win the green jacket.
At age 42.
Absolutely.
Incredible.
But now you look at what's going on at the BMW Championship, and there's Scotty Scheffler at 4 under. Now, Tommy Fleetwood's at 4 under right now.
Top 10, Tommy?
Top 10, Tommy. Bob McIntyre's at 4 under. Victor Hovland's kicking around, but Scheffler clearly the pace car. And to chat about it, we're joined now by golf reporter. He's a podcaster. He does it all for the Golf Channel NBC. Here's Rex Hoggard. How you doing, Rex?
Evening. How you guys doing?
We're doing very well. Scheffler versus the field the rest of this tournament. Who would you take?
I think what you just said resonates because that's the way we used to think about Tiger, right?
Yep.
You would always take Tiger against the rest of the field. I would say Scotty Scheffler for the rest of the season, and it's a very short season. It's just this week and next week. But I would pick Scotty against the rest of the field. I guess the only thing that would hold me back, and the one thing we've learned, the one thing we know about Scotty is he's a creature of habit, and he loves routine over everything else. And being without his caddy last Sunday, Ted Scott, he had to go home for some personal reasons, so he had to have a replacement caddy. He has a replacement caddy this week. That, in my mind, is the only thing that you can sit and point to and be like, well, maybe Scotty's a little uncomfortable with another caddy on the bag. And if that's what you're banking on, I don't know if the field has much of a chance.
Yeah, no, it's a great point. I mean, when you look at this playoff format, Rex, as much as we're talking about Scotty as a guy who's going to be very tough to beat between now and the Tour Championship at East Lake, does it need a tweak given the way Rory treated the event last week at Memphis and the way maybe that didn't speak to, the importance of the so-called playoff run in the PGA lexicon?
After watching the playoffs for the last 2 decades, and it seems like they have changed something every single year. They have evolved, they've moved, the points have changed, the formats have changed. The tour has done everything to try to turn this into something closer to a true playoff, and I think that's probably the issue right here. I guess I'm in the minority here, and we've talked a lot about it the last 2 weeks. You had 1 player out of 70 skip the first playoff event, and let's be clear. Rory had said he was going to skip the first playoff event, I think pretty much after last year's first playoff event. He made it clear that there's no reason for me to be here if I'm safely inside that top 30. At that time, I think he was inside the top 5. He dropped 1 spot. He had a really bad week in Memphis, so it made no sense to him. I think we've created a lot of solutions looking for a problem because I don't see this right now as a problem. I was actually a little surprised more players didn't skip the first playoff event simply because of the way the season stacks up. You have so many big events back to back to back that the top players are probably really tired. So the fact that it was only Rory, 1 out of 70 players, I think it's pretty encouraging if you're at the tour. Certainly, if this becomes an issue where next year if you have 2 or 3 players doing it, then the tour has to look at it. But I don't think it's an issue right now.
Well, I think it's particularly an issue with the players we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Like McIlroy's a needle mover, right? Like if, you can name, I can give you 25 different names where if they're 7th on the FedEx list and they don't show up, it's not going to resonate.
Right.
But if Rory doesn't show up, if Scheffler doesn't show up, if Schauffele doesn't show up, that's the issue, isn't it, Rex? It's the guys we're talking about that could skip.
And twofold. One, you're right. The guy that moves the needle, him skipping is a big deal. The other one is the event he chose to skip. Had he chosen to skip this week, the BMW Championship, that too would have been surprising, and we probably would have talked a lot about it, but it's not FedEx. And FedEx is a pillar on the PGA Tour. It's called the FedEx Cup season. Mm-hmm. So we all know how important this is to them. So those 2 things, I certainly see where you're factoring into it. I guess I turn the conversation the other way. I don't know how you can compel the players to play all 3 playoff events, simply because they're independent contractors, and it's not as though you can mandate you have to play here. And one of the solutions that has come up, and I feel like this is the cleanest solution, is after the regular season, you just restart, you do away with the points altogether. And you go to that first playoff event in Memphis, and if you finish inside the top 50, then you advance to this week's playoff event, the BMW Championship. And then if you're inside the top 30, after that event, you go to the Tour Championship. That, to me, seems like the cleanest way to do it and turn it into a real playoff. But as we discussed this week a lot, the idea that what if last week Scotty would have finished 51st, Rory 52nd, and Xander 53rd? Then the sponsors aren't happy. The TV partners aren't happy. The fans aren't happy. So I don't know if there's a clean solution.
With Rex Hoggard and with the Ryder Cup this year, and it's always a massive event. It just feels, I don't know why it feels bigger this year, maybe because of the Keegan Bradley connection and that story, because it's in New York, it's at Bethpage, because of what happened the last time they played, the Europeans laid a beating on the Americans. I mean, let's call it what it is. It just feels like it's so much more amplified. And I think Scheffler was talking about it this week that, like, there's a big layoff after the Tour Championship until you actually get to the end of September. And he was mentioning maybe they play in Napa, I think it is. There's a tournament halfway through September. Like, if you, in your conversations with players who know they're going, how much of the next couple of weeks is even in some ways preparation for the Ryder Cup?
I think coming out of Rome 2 years ago, and you referenced it, yes, the European Tour took it to the United States team that week. And there were a lot of issues that went into that. One of them was that they were rusty. The Americans hadn't played, most of the Americans hadn't played in a few weeks, really, since the Tour Championship. And you look at the Europeans going into that Ryder Cup in Rome, almost every single one of them had played the week before at the BMW PGA Championship, which is the European Tour's flagship event in England. So they had all had a chance to essentially have a scorecard in their hand and go out and compete, have some pressure, knock some rust off. This time around, I think both teams, it'll be interesting to watch both teams because Keegan Bradley has spent a lot of time talking with players. I think most players who will be on the team will play that event in Napa, as you just pointed out, just to get some reps in, just to get a scorecard in your hand to go out to feel a little bit of pressure. It's interesting. The Europeans will actually do something very, very similar. They'll leave the BMW PGA Championship this year and fly over as a team and spend pretty much 4 or 5 days before going to the Ryder Cup at Bethpage together. So every team is trying to find an angle, and I think this is a good one.
Hey, Rex, Tommy Fleetwood up at the top of the leaderboard yet again here at the BMW, but of course, made headlines for the wrong reasons last week in Memphis, having the lead multiple times and not being able to close. He's earned $32.5 million on the PGA Tour, and nobody has ever earned more in the history of the sport without winning on the PGA Tour. 162 starts. And yet he tweets out, hey, with every disappointment, I feel like I'm getting closer and closer to finally winning. Do you buy that, or is this guy just never going to get it done?
It's tough because in sports fandom, it's easy to point to the guy who can't get it done and just say, oh, well, something's wrong with him. He can't finish it up. But I think Tommy Fleetwood is a legitimately nice person. He's a legitimately good person to be around. I think he truly believes in his mind that he's moving in the right direction. And I guess that's the only thing you can do. I'll just go back to last Sunday, and I would compare it also to the Sunday at the Travelers Championship, where he also took a 3-stroke lead into the final round. And you don't have to connect a lot of dots to figure out what goes wrong with him on Sundays. It's not necessarily his driving. It's not necessarily his ball striking, but his short game, which is brilliant 90% of the time, just seems to abandon him at the most crucial moments. We saw it on Sunday last week in Memphis, where he had an opportunity to get up and down on a par 5, and make a birdie that you had to make. A par on that hole was pretty much giving a stroke away to the field, and he just didn't have that short game. He didn't have the touch. And that's, of course, where you're going to feel it. You don't have to be a sports psychologist to understand where pressure manifests itself. And it does it on the little shots. It does it on the little putts and the little chips. And then, of course, he bogeys 17, and that was pretty much the difference right there. I don't know how you get over the hump, because it's always, if we go back 2 weeks to the Wyndham Championship, and Cameron Young, I would have argued, was probably the second best player on the PGA Tour without having won the PGA Tour event, and he pretty much blew away the field. And it's an entirely different scenario when you're walking down the 18th tee, the 18th fairway with a 6-shot lead. Like, that is an entirely different pressure. What Tommy has gone through, eventually I think he does get in a position where he has that 3 or 4 shot lead coming down 18, and he can finish it off. But certainly there is something there, a hurdle, a hump, a distraction, whatever it is, he can't get over.
With Rex Hoggard of the Golf Channel, Rory McIlroy speaking today or this week about being asked in the past to be a playing captain for the European team at the Ryder Cup, and he said no chance. Paraphrasing, but you can't do it, not possible. Shot it down. Keegan Bradley was asked about that. Now, I like Keegan's answer, somewhat diplomatic, but also I think there was honesty there. He goes, no one's ever really done it. I don't know. Like, what do we know over the last 20, 30, 40 years? What is your instinct telling you? What is your reporting telling you on if Keegan Bradley is, in fact, going to play for the Americans at the Ryder Cup?
At this point in time, I truly believe he's going to play for him, and I don't even think it's really his decision anymore. A few weeks ago, I made the comment, and I still believe in it, and don't quite have as much bass in my voice now as I did before, but it'll be the players who automatically qualify. Scotty Scheffler, Xander Schauffele, J.J. Spawn currently, but there'll be 3 more who automatically qualify. They'll be the ones that will say, of course, Keegan is one of the top 12 American players right now. I can break it down for you however you want. He's a top 12 American player according to the world ranking, according to strokes gained total on the PGA Tour, according to Data Golf. I can keep going on and on and on. There's no way to splice it up. Now, the difficulty here, and I tend to agree with Rory, I think in the modern era, I don't want to say impossible, but they're going to have to figure out how this works, because what's going to have to happen is Keegan is essentially going to have to give up his captaincy when it comes time to play. And I don't know how you do that. There aren't any really machinations. There aren't any rules or regulations to govern this, exactly how he gives that up. And there's also the issue, and I thought Rory did a good job of bringing this up. Essentially what you're doing, if Keegan is a player, and I do believe he will be, you're kind of limiting him to only 1 match a day on Friday and Saturday because he has other duties to do. He can't play both sessions. That makes sense. You're kind of tying your hands with a player. Why would you want to do that? So there's a lot of things they'll have to figure out over the next couple of weeks, because I do believe he'll be on that team.
Well, why did the U.S. do this to themselves, Rex? When you think about it, they got an assistant captain list for 2025 that includes Jim Furyk, Kevin Kisner, Webb Simpson, Brad Snedeker, Gary Woodland. There's plenty of good names there. Like Furyk, couldn't they just name Furyk the captain and sort of end this sort of conundrum?
I don't think they wanted to go back to Furyk because that didn't go very well in Paris. No offense to Jim Furyk, but the Americans lost pretty bad there as well. I think what the PGA of America was looking for was something different. They felt like they needed to change gears for whatever reason, and Keegan Bradley was going to be that guy, because he wasn't the guy who was on the inside track. If you'd have asked me 3 years ago, like, name the next 4 U.S. Ryder Cup captains, I would not have mentioned Keegan Bradley's name. And clearly, the PGA of America wanted to zig while everyone else thought they were going to zag. And there's a lot of reasons for it. I don't think they anticipated this, though. I think when they made the decision, they didn't anticipate him not just winning once, but winning twice in this cycle. Go back to last year. He won the BMW Championship, of course, the Travelers this year. And he's been really consistent. And I don't think they anticipated that at all, because it brings such, as I mentioned, it brings such a level of issues. It brings such a level of distractions. And the Europeans won't have that at all. We had this debate this week on Golf Today, where the idea that the Europeans are coming in, with a captain that we know he's a good captain and he can win, Luke Donald, and their team is virtually the exact same team that they had 2 years ago in Rome, with the only exception of one of the Hogard twins. Like, pitch whichever one you want. That, to me, is frightening if you're the Americans, because all the Americans have right now is distractions and questions.
Rex, it's always great catching up with you. Enjoy the rest of the season. I'm sure we'll catch up well before the Ryder Cup. We can't wait.
Appreciate it, guys.
There he is, Rex Hoggard of the Golf Channel. Yeah, you bring up a very good point, though. Like, you could eradicate the whole issue by just saying, Keegan, you're on the team, and he's not an automatic bid yet, so that complicates things. Someone's going to have to choose him.
But nothing's going to change. As Rex pointed out, all the data points, He's going to play. Top 10 in points for the Ryder Cup rankings. He's top 10 in everything. So there's no way you wouldn't put him on the team.
Always an option. The second they had made this announcement, the first question was, well, what if you're playing it?
Right.
And
no one's done it, to your point, since Arnold Palmer in 1960-something.
Yeah, 60 years ago.
Yeah.
So, just eradicate the problem altogether. Tell Keegan you're playing. We'll find someone else to deal with
Well,
everything.
they got to like any of those guys can do the job. Like, I mean, I understand Furyk is a losing captain.
Well, he
Maybe you
was
don't-
a winner at the President's Cup.
yeah.
I get it's different, but still, he did run the operation there, and it went fairly well
Highly
for them.
respected guy. I mean, Kisner's a very respected guy. He's
Well,
kind
what
of
is
an
a captain?
understatement.
What qualifications do any of these former player captains have? It's like the conversation we had earlier today about Dwayne Casey being the president,
Yeah,
Brendan Shanahan. Like they're players and coaches.
right.
What the hell do they know about
Yeah.
running the operation of the Ryder Cup? Oh, you need a guy with that went to an Ivy League school that can really determine. They don't know what the hell they're
No,
doing.
you're
They're just-
right.
They can put the best players together, try to figure out a formula, rah, and go out and play.
Well, as everything in sports, Hayes, people like to overcomplicate things. And when you hear about, the way these teams approach these mano a mano, international tournaments, it turns into a big, we got a massive analytics cachet. Like Mike Weir apparently was drowning in the analytics
Huge
at the
in it.
President's Cup.
What
right?
the numbers look like, pairing
Yeah.
guys together, can get off the tee, they can putt up and down.
Right.
Everything.
And sometimes, to your point, like maybe just, gut instinct might be a better judge of
Right.
who to pair them against,
Yeah.
how to sort of strategize. And yet, we're not going to gut instinct too often these days in sports. And especially when you get these big staffs, right? Like it's a big operation.
Well, I think that is a big part of it, is that you have to justify the budget and you have to justify the amount of people that are around.
right.
And there is this bar that has been set that you got to prove how smart you are. It's also a cop-out in a lot of ways. Because if it doesn't go right, you can say, well, I did my job. Like, I just fought, what do you want out of me?
The numbers
Yeah, like,
say
hey,
that was
I
the
get
right call.
it. I went to Kikuchi over Barrios, but, like, look at this map over here. Don't ask me why I made this bonehead play. Talk to the calculator, the computer. It's a shield for people. And it's allowed so many coaches and managers to abuse it the opposite way.
Oh, yeah.
Where at some point you are dealing with human beings. Yes, you got to be informed. Yes, it's very beneficial to have that information, study it and know it. That's what you're there for. But then there's also some times where the door creaks open where you're like, I got to gut instinct this a little bit
Yeah.
and say, screw it. Yeah, the numbers over the course of the year would suggest this guy's better, but that guy's playing better right now.
Right.
This guy feels better. This guy wants it. And he just came up to me and said, put me in. I'm ready. The other guy looks like he's cowering a little bit.
That
That doesn't show up on your stat sheet,
100%. Read
But
the room.
read the room.
players. Look
Read
them
the
in
room.
the eye.
Yeah.
See how they look. I mean, there's a lot to that, right?
There's a lot to that.
100%.
A lot to that. And your competition, reading your competition. That's another part of it that I think has been lost in some ways. It's just looking at, you get caught up in your own stats, then you get caught up in looking at the other stats, and you're like, how about watch that guy? He looks jittery.
Wow.
You see that guy on the practice screen, man? He looks nervous. He's pacing. I think we can get this guy. Well, I don't know.
Tell you
If you
what,
look
man.
at his stats this year, and okay.
It's hard to win on the road in the Ryder Cup, but I'm telling you right now, like Europe's on the way to setting it up.
They're relishing that
They're
opportunity.
planting the right seeds.
That's for sure. All right, Best Bets powered by FanDuel coming up. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2. All right, best bets powered by FanDuel. Make your picks and assemble a same-game parlay in seconds on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. We had David Sanchez in earlier this afternoon, and he said, giving you a freebie, Red Blacks plus the points tonight. At that point, I think they were like plus 3.5 on FanDuel. They're up to plus 4. You're getting 4 points tonight.
Wow.
I'll take the Red Blacks. I'm going to trust my guy, David Sanchez.
I like the sounds of that.
Yeah, he likes the way Ottawa's playing. He said Winnipeg has not been looking great. They haven't. They're 500 club right now. Getting plus 4. I will take Ottawa tonight. Best bets powered by FanDuel. Argos in Edmonton tomorrow night.
2-7 versus 2-6.
Two awful teams.
Jeez.
Two worst teams in the CFL as it currently stands.
Miserable.
Someone's got to win tomorrow night.
Or somebody's. Well, so Dinwiddie has called his team pretenders. He said they've got to create chaos.
Mm-hmm.
If they're down to 2-8, what is he going to say?
Yeah, what's more damning than those comments?
I don't know. Sounds like it's pretty dire.
Yeah, it sounds pretty nuclear.
He knows it's like we basically have no chance of turning this season around.
No shot. Yeah, if you're 2-8, you're done.
It'll be tough.
Yeah.
You have to go on a miracle run, and there's no signs that there's a run in them.
That's the thing. Exactly. Like the cliches would be out there. Well, the CFL starts on Labor Day. Well, not if you're like 2-10.
No.
You know, it doesn't start.
But if you get the 3 wins and then,
Yeah, that's the flip side of it is if you run off like 2 wins in a row, you're back in the playoff hunt.
Right.
You're 2 weeks away from being right on the border making the playoffs.
I mean. It's a 9-team league. They got a chance.
They got a chance. You're saying we got a chance. All right, Dave. Good stuff, man. I'll see you tomorrow.
Great seeing you.
There is Dave Feschuk of the Toronto Star. Thanks to everyone behind the scenes for helping out. Everyone for tuning in today. TV, radio, podcast, web, and, of course, up on YouTube Live. We appreciate it. We're out of here. Enjoy your evenings. Enjoy the games tonight. We're back tomorrow at 4 p.m. We'll chat then.
His name is Tavian Dunn-Martin, smallest guy in the CEBL. Tonight tries to take his Montreal Alliance one step closer to a title. Against Donovan Williams, Terquavian Smith, and the Scarborough Shooting Stars in a game that plays out like the Avengers versus the Justice League. Live on TSN.
Season 7 in the CEBL has been a summer sizzler. Big crowds, big shots, big drama, and now it's big boy basketball. 8 teams remain, single elimination, win or go home. Every pass, every shot, every heartbeat matters, all leading to next week and championship weekend. Later tonight, the Battle of Alberta will once again be waged in the West. But first up, it's the feast in the East and a clash of superheroes. Both Montreal and Scarborough have had wild rides this season, and now both teams need to call on their dynamic duos to extend their seasons. For the Shooting Stars, it's the talented tandem of Turk and Stretch, shining stars, superstars who are able to leap tall players in a single bound, while the Alliance counter with their own two-headed monster, only smaller and quicker. The blazing backcourt, TDM, and the Pistol are faster than Wi-Fi. But now, only the strongest survive. The Capeless Crusaders are on center court tonight to save the day. It's time to play in. Let the heroes rise. Let the games begin.
Beautiful summer day. Northeast of downtown Toronto, suburb of Scarborough, home of the Shooting Stars. Third ranked in the East in the CEBL against the fourth-ranked Montreal Alliance. And hello, Canada. Welcome to the CEBL playoffs. I'm Rod Black, along with the coach, Joe Razzo. Joe, they call these the dog days of August. They're the fun days of August. It's time for the playoffs.
Yeah, this is the time of season where failure's fatal, and the only stat that anybody's looking at is the big W.
Well, it's win or you go home, and here's how it works. These are play-in games. Of course, later tonight, the Surge and the Stingers. And then on Saturday, it's the other games that decide one team that will go to the Final Four. We know two things. Niagara's already in, clinching the East in the CEBL, and the Winnipeg Sea Bears, hosts of Championship Weekend, also have advanced. But for this team, as they will try to shoot the lights out, you might say tonight, Terquavian Smith might be one of those superheroes that the Scarborough Shooting Stars lean on.
Yeah, back from injury. This guy's got 16 NBA games under his belt, but he's a scoring machine. He's averaged double digits, but he gets double digits in every game that he's played. He is a special player. He has maximum range. If you dare him, you're making a mistake. He can get hot. He looks to score. He's dangerous in transition, and he's looking to score off his defense. He is a threat.
We talk about dynamic duos, Spider-Man, Superman, maybe for the Shooting Stars, Batman and Robin with Pistol, and Tavian Dunn-Martin, known as TDM for the Alliance.
Yeah, 5'8", 161 pounds of dynamite. A 60, 40, 80 guy all season long. This guy is a scorer and a leader. Don't be confused by his size. He will scare you. This guy can knock it down from any range. He is very good in transition. He's got maximum range also, but he is quick and fast, and that combination makes up for his size. A special player in this league.
A lot of energy on the court. This place is sold out tonight. Can't wait to get this one started. The third member of our team is Heather Morrison. Heather, welcome to Toronto. If you can hear me, welcome to the playoffs.
Oh, it's great to be here, Rod. And you know, fan favorite all year for Scarborough has been Donovan Williams, and he's a man of many talents. When he was growing up, he ran track, he swam, and he even had an artistic side. He was the lead in the Hamilton, the musical, with a little help from auto-tune. He was offered a spot at a performing arts high school, turned them down because they don't have a basketball team. And just like here tonight, the only theatrics he's interested in are the ones right here on the court. He told me with so many changes to the Scarborough's lineup, He knows what's been placed on his shoulder. He's got a responsibility. It starts with him, and he's ready to be the head of the snake.
Well, he's on the marquee tonight. Let the curtains rise, you might say. This is center stage. Whether it's Hamilton, it's actually Toronto, where Donovan Williams will be playing tonight. Shooting Stars Alliance next. Let the playoffs begin. We are back in Scarborough, Toronto Pan Am Sports Center, home of the Shooting Stars. This Eastern Conference playoff game presented by Lotto Max. Let's get to our starting lineups tonight, presented by Tony Bett, coach.
Yeah, for Montreal, we got Dunn Martin. We got Domingo Courrier, Osawe, and Porter. And for Scarborough, Smith, Derisa, Williams, Foster, and Miller.
So we're ready to roll tonight. Our officials, Jason Steele, Tommy Wu, and Tony Turnbull. Whistle callers tonight. There's Mike DiGiorgio, the head coach of the Scarborough Shooting Stars. They met this team, the Alliance, only 4 days ago. The two teams have played each other 4 times this season. They both won twice on their opposition floor. So this is the rubber match here tonight, and a lot more at stake because the winner moves on. Jermaine Small knows. He said it's a business trip coming here to Scarborough, and knowing that the winner moves on and will take on the Ottawa Blackjacks on Saturday in Gatineau. A couple of players that are missing tonight from the lineups for the Scarborough Shooting Stars. Aaron Best and Khalif Young not in the lineup. We'll tell more about that. Ball is up, game on, playoffs on. The guy with the creamsicle colored shoes, Terquavion Smith, Tavian Dunn Martin, right away, tried to steal the ball, and it will be Shooting Star basketball.
Real good decision right off the bat for Montreal. Try and take away the reversal. Good job.
Manny Deresa starting tonight for the Scarborough Shooting Stars, wears 0-0. Usually Aaron Best or Cat Barber. Cat Barber, longtime guard for the CEBL's Shooting Stars. He has, there's Jermaine Small. Deresa getting the chance underneath, and the quick feed, and up and in. Michael Foster, a newcomer coach to the Shooting Stars late in the season, but he has been outstanding.
And he has been, but what a great move by Deresa, taking advantage of size, going downhill early in the clock.
Tavian Dunn Martin, smallest guy in the league. not out there with Pistol Smith yet. Brandon Porter puts it on the deck, and he is fouled as he is en route to the rim. Looks like he's going to shoot here early on.
I like the idea of Montreal going inside early, drawing the double team. And what you'll find with this team, they'll go inside out, and Porter can't hit the three.
Brandon Porter, first-year CEBLer, Virginia Beach native, played at Cali State Poly. Our Eastern Conference playoff game presented by Lotto Max here in Scarborough tonight. Later tonight, out west, Battle of Alberta, Calgary Surge, Edmonton Stingers. Winner will move to Langley, BC on Saturday to play the Vancouver Bandits, who have been the best team record-wise in the CEBL this season. Manny Dresa, player from the TMU Bold, long-time Canadian player. They work it down low. Look out for this guy. Stretch. Donovan Williams is off. Underneath, the rebound is lost, and Londo Chiquinho brings it up to Tavian Dunmartin. Just admire this guy, folks, if you've never watched him. He is special. Special player, number 7. Chiquinho spinning underneath. Quincy Guerrier is fouled, and he's going to shoot as well.
Yeah, nice job by Chiquinho. Good decision, getting himself in the paint, getting the big man up, and getting a foul on Foster is probably as good as an MO as you can have if you're Montreal, because he is a dominant big inside.
Now let's get to the elephant in the room. The elephant being the America Cup that's going on. Team Canada getting ready to take on opposition in Managua, Nicaragua next week. Quincy Guerrier is one of the players on the team. He is not with the team tonight. They're scrimmaging. Jaden Campbell of the Shooting Stars is with Team Canada. So Team Canada has a number of players, and they get affected here in the CEBL playoffs. The teams do.
It's just a tough time of season. Quincy Guerrier's been with the national team all season for both windows. You would love the situation, but unfortunately the America Cup this year is a little early, and it falls in the same time as the playoffs in the CBL.
Good on Quincy Guerrier. Talked to him this morning. Wouldn't want to miss this nice pass and catch underneath, and going strong, and up is Michael Foster again. But Guerrier is only playing tonight. He will not continue on if Montreal does win. Porter leans in, block here. Miller, Williams, D-Dub to the rim, scoop and score.
Coming into this game, Montreal was the defensive team, but the Scarborough Shooting Stars big have really showed early.
And a whistle, a foul away from the ball. Shooting Stars basketball. 6-1 Scarborough early on here.
Foster's a big man with great hands. He sneaks underneath. He is comfortable, little hook, maybe a little grab, but he finishes. This guy is a special player. He skipped high school, went to the G League. His profile, he's only 22 years old and a star.
So is this guy, also just 22, is Terquavion going to the line, and he will shoot. You have a pair of the colored shoes, don't you? Have you ever worn shoes that color in your life? Have any of us?
I'm colorblind. You can sell me on anything.
If there's a power failure tonight, I'm following him. Let's get to the keys of the game, brought to you by Coach Joe Razzo.
So transition defense, points per possession. Both these teams get themselves in trouble early in the clock. So whoever has the best transition D has a good opportunity. Shot selection. It's the bad shots that get you into transition defense. And both these teams like to shoot early and then play through their best players. On both these teams, their stars, for the most case, are their imports. Play through your best guy. Let them be creative for you.
Londo Chiquinho played at Cal Baptist, native of Montreal, Quebec. TDM blanketed coverage here tonight so far defensively. Oh, a nice floater up and in by Kevin Asawe.
I think he's had a spectacular season. Because Guerrier's been such a dominant Canadian, I think Osawe's in that group as one of the top Canadians in this league this year.
Osawe from Brampton, Ontario. Turk loves the deep three. There it is. There it goes. Through the well. Terquavion Smith.
Yeah, defensively, there is no limit on his range. soon as he gets the ball, you got to be prepared to stop him.
Chiquinha, no, underneath, rebound. Guerrier up. And on the floor, getting up slowly now is Manny Teresa. Terquavion Smith averaging 22.6, one of the best three-point shooters in the land.
He can shoot it in transition, but there he used that dribble, little sidestep. But when you have maximum range and you can go anywhere, you can create that shot from absolutely anywhere. He is a treat.
Quincy Guerrier at the line. 66% free throw shooter. Official game ball if the CEBL is Spalding, but Guerrier has in his mitts here. Montreal native, longtime member for Team Canada, a variety of competitions. These two teams, by the way, do not shoot the rock well from the free throw line. Oh, Euro step and dunk. Donovan Williams did do that.
The first 8 seconds of possession, Scarborough is incredibly dangerous. They push the ball and they look to run the floor.
Oh, and Tavian Dunmartin slipped, and that ball slid away. Bad pass there, but yeah, they, for whatever reason, they're middle of the pack, these teams. They're really good offensively, particularly at the rim.
But look at the catch. Look at the skill of that catch. Looks like a wide receiver. Then he goes and finishes it like this great basketball player.
Turk deep again. Oh, he is feeling it. That might be bad news right now for the Montreal Alliance. Terquavion Smith again. Double team coming every time to Tavian Dunmartin.
Yeah, this Scarborough team started strong both ends of the floor. Their defense has been superb. But they are, if you watch again, Terquavion Smith, look at the range that he can start at. And he's a threat with one dribble to get it. And you can't go under a screen. You've got to force him to be a passer.
Turks had some time in the NBA with the Philadelphia 76ers at 17 points last year.